All right, welcome back to episode 104 of the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast. My name is Josh. As always, I'm here with Troy. What's going on, good buddy?
Not a whole lot. We are bundles of energy right now. We are ready to get through this show. We were just talking about how excited we are, how energetic we are. Just kidding. Josh is tired. I'm tired. We're all tired.
We're speaking it into existence, though. We're going to bring the energy. We're going to bring the heat. We're very, very grateful for you tuning in to today's show. My only, I'm praying, Troy, that my voice lasts because I've been feeling all day that it's slipping. I kind of feel like it's lower right now. Is it lower?
A little bit lower, but I'm going to laugh if it cracks and then goes away. And then I just have to sit here and finish it out. And that would be a true Gong Show in every sense of the word.
Fun when you hit puberty at 45. No big deal. Right. Just freshly back a couple hours ago from the National, wrote fast and furiously on the car in the way home. So that was an experience, but we got a great show. Excited to get to it. First off, I got to mention again, Troy, Second String Leather Company. Huge news for them. Apparently, they're really serious about clearancing, if that's a word, out their wallets that are made from NHL memorabilia and goalie equipment to get room, make room for the launch of their new collection. So they were 55% off. Now they moved them to 65% off. Plus, again, if you use the code GONGSHOW15, and why wouldn't you? You just save more. You save an additional 10% for a total of 80% off. So at this point, Troy, these are like backup wallet prices, right? So you can get a starting goalie wallet of NHL memorabilia for 80% off, which, come on, guys, is backup prices. I think there's like 40 some left. So it's getting down to the wire. But remember, these are essentially all one-on-one memorabilia pieces that are handmade by expert leather craftsmen. They're awesome. I have my Andrea Vasilevsky. Second String also makes other cool memorabilia and hockey-inspired products. So if you need a watch band for your Apple Watch or smartwatch, again, made from NHL goalie material, you can save 15% on those using Gong Show 15. Plus, they're BOGO, so buy one, get one free.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. Then you can swap them out. I saw videos today, Troy, from their site where they have grill sets now that are made where the handles are hockey sticks.
Yeah.
They have like samurai swords. What are these guys not doing?
Yeah,
with hockey products, just an incredible array of amazing products. Gong Show 15 saves 15% on anything. So again, head to secondstringleather.com and pick up some cool stuff.
Hey, do me a favor. Present my screen real quick. I want to. Yeah. If you go to the website, you will know that it's 65% off because there is a big banner right there.
Yeah, they're not bashful about it.
No, they're not bashful. And if you use our code, another 15, 80%, like Josh said. So go buy some stuff if you want to.
Yeah, it's really, really love them. And I was actually, when I was at the National, I showed a bunch of people my wallet, and people were just blown away by it.
Yeah.
Right. It's like kind of my favorite thing to do because what's cooler than having a wallet made out of Andrea Vasilevsky, the big cat's blocker?
Yeah.
It's just amazing. All right, Troy, last quick thing before we get going. Just a reminder to everyone that the Hockey Cards Gong Show podcast is a Patreon podcast. That means that we really rely on support from listeners like you. You guys really help us cover our show expenses. We're trying to produce more and better hockey card content. We're investing in some video production now that hopefully soon will make our show better and help us with small initiatives to grow the hockey card hobby. It's very easy to support us. It's $5 a month. You can see there on the screen, we have our out of 99 support level tier. Not only do you support our show, but you get access to our Gong Show Discord server, which is an awesome group of people. We chat hockey cards and have fun on there all day long. It's very easy to do. You can go to our website, hockeycardsgongshow.com, and there's a link at the top of the page that I think says become a patron. Or you could go to the Patreon website at patreon.com and search for Hockey Cards Gong Show. We have our own page, I guess, on their website. There's a link in the show description for whether you're watching us on YouTube or listening to us on Spotify, Apple, or any other podcast app. There's a link there. And finally, in our Instagram and TikTok profiles, we have a link in our link tree there too. Since our last show, Troy, we are blessed to have two new patrons that are supporting us, M. Miller and Rob T. Thank you guys very much from the bottom of our hearts. You don't know what this means. And we can't wait to chat with you in the Discord. All right, Troy, you ready for the game plan?
On today's show, we begin with the greatest NHL player to wear number 4, Then it's story time as Josh tells us all about his trip to the 2023 National Sports Collectors Convention. Then we continue our look at the Gong Show 25. And this episode, we are looking at numbers 10 through 6. Next, it is hobby news, followed by a segment on the top 5 selling Bobby Orr cards that are not his rookie. We end the show with new product releases and listener mailbag. All right, Josh, episode 104, not a big surprise. Everyone could have guessed with 100% accuracy that number 4 was going to be Bobby Orr, but also it's per the Hockey Writers, greatest NHL player to year, each article number. No surprise.
Well, can I just mention, Troy, real quick, that this is an amazing part or segment for us in this whole series of the greatest player to wear each number, because not only do we know who it is, but we can actually pronounce the name. So like the stars have aligned for us today.
Stars have aligned. Even though, of course, once I get where he's from, I'm probably gonna botch the city. But we'll see if I do it all right. So
we gotta botch something.
What's that?
We gotta botch something.
Oh yeah. Bobby Orr, defenseman, born in, now I'm going to say, is it Parry Sound, Ontario? Parry.
Sure.
Parry Sound, Ontario. Orr was signed by the Boston Bruins in 1962. On his decision to sign with Boston, Orr stated that he signed with the Bruins because they're a team of the future. They are rebuilding, and I want to be a part of that building program. It's funny with these old guys, none of them are drafted. They all just sign.
Yeah,
I guess Orr had a couple other teams interested in him, but like you said, he ended up going to Boston. Orr played in 657 regular season games over a 12-season NHL career. Orr played his first 10 seasons with the Boston Bruins before ending his career with 2 seasons with the Chicago Blackhawks. For his awards and accomplishments, this list is not complete, but it has a bunch of them. He's a Hall of Famer, 2-time Cup winner, Calder Trophy winner in 1967, 8-time Norris Trophy winner, 2-time Art Ross. Oh, yeah, that's it. 8-time. And I can't remember. Were they in a row? They might have been in a row. Or
wow.
A lot in a row. I know that.
I think you're right.
Yeah. 2-time Art Ross winner, 2-time Conn Smythe winner, 3-time Hart Trophy winner, 1-time Ted Lindsay Award winner, 8-time NHL first All-Star selection, first All-Star team, 1-time NHL second team All-Star selection, 7-time NHL All-Star game selection. He was named to the NHL's 100 greatest players list, and his number 4 is retired by the Boston Bruins. So just a short list. There's a lot more. If you go digging in, we could have done a whole episode show on him. For his regular season stats, he had 270 goals, 645 assists for 915 points. He made the playoffs at 8 of his 12 NHL seasons, compiling 26 goals, 66 assists for 92 points in 74 playoff games played. Orr had 6 straight seasons of 100-plus points. In addition, Orr scored double digits in goals his first 9 seasons in the NHL, amassing 30-plus goals 5 times. And just remember, he's a defenseman. You read those stats, and it's just crazy. Best season of his career from a point standpoint was his 74-75 season, where Orr had 46 goals, 89 assists for 135 points in 80 games played. All right, Josh, we have talked a ton about Bobby Orr on our show. I think he's on Mount Rushmore, and we just talk about his card a lot. His rookie cards we always bring up, and a lot about Bobby Orr. So I don't try not to repeat a lot of the stuff. So I tried to kind of expand a little bit, but what Orr accomplished in the NHL is absolutely spectacular, especially for being a defenseman. In addition, he is one of those great what-if stories in NHL history, because what if his knees held up and he could have had like a 15-plus, 20-season NHL career. And you got to remember, Bobby Orr scored career-high points in his 9th season in the NHL. The remaining 3 seasons of his career, he only played 36 games total, as his knees were absolutely destroyed. And it's one of those things where if he was playing in today's game, arthroscopic surgery, all that stuff, he's probably healed up. I think Mike Bossie's probably in the same boat with how bad his back and knees were. They could play in today's game, a lot more advances in medicine. However, when Bobby Orr was healthy, he dominated the defensive position. In addition, he revolutionized the way the game is played. In fact, whenever in today's game we have a defenseman who scores lots of points or rushes the puck with tremendous speed, they're always compared to Bobby Orr. And if it's a rookie, we always hear they're going to be the next Bobby Orr. Think about McCarr. How many articles did we see with he's the next Bobby Orr? It almost became it was a cliche.
You almost thought they were related because they couldn't be mentioned without each other in the same sentence.
Exactly. But now, to be fair, Doug Harvey also did a lot of offensive things and was known for rushing the puck before Bobby Orr did it. However, what made Orr special was that Orr played at a staggering speed, darting and threading and spinning, pirouetting his way from behind his own net to the opponent's goal crease with great flair and improvisation. Harvey was a little more, I don't know, we'll say strategic or opportunistic, where Orr, sometimes it didn't matter. He just went and he decided he'll make up the moves on the fly.
Okay, I think 2 Bobby Orr questions. I know one for sure. I'm not sure you know the answer to this, Troy. Maybe we'll have to look it up for a future episode. Do you know why he left the Bruins?
It's really bad. Well, he got in a little contract disputes. I think his agent, Alan Ingelson, I think. I might have that name wrong, something like that, was negotiating. I think they got into a tiff with the Bruins is what I think happened. But then it came out afterwards and this isn't why he left, but I think the tiff is what made him leave and go to Chicago. Okay. But I guess at some point, it sounds like the Bruins offered him 18% ownership in his last contract when he retired. And it sounds like his agent, Bobby Orr's agent, didn't tell him that. And so,
oh my gosh,
I don't get into this, but if you want to read about it, Orr basically retired bankrupt, found out his agent, who he thought was like his brother, like did a bunch of shady stuff, just mishandled, misappropriated things. And there was a lot that happened afterwards. But I think that's the main reason. So they just got in a contract dispute and he decided to leave.
Crazy.
All right. Fun, interesting facts about Bobby Orr. This was kind of, I don't know what you want to call it, anticlimactic, but I did look up why he wore number 4. And basically, in juniors, he wore number 2. But when he got to the Bruins, that was already retired by them. So the Bruins offered him number 5, but instead he wanted number 4. So maybe double of 2. Bobby Orr will always be known for, if you're watching the YouTube, this picture I'm showing, for the goal, which is one of the most famous NHL goals ever scored due to the absolutely incredible picture of it. For those that don't know, the goal was scored 40 seconds into OT in Game 4 of the 70 Stanley Cup Finals against the St. Louis Blues. And I believe that goal won the cup, if I remember right. Don't hold me to that, but I think it. He looks pretty excited. But it's one of the best pictures ever. Glenn Hall in net trying to keep himself up by holding the crossbar. And to Glenn Hall's credit, he signed every piece of memorabilia that came his way with this picture on it. There's a lot of them. You can get Hall's autograph and Orr's autograph on it.
Yeah, it's like being the pitcher that gave up the record-breaking home run.
Yeah, and I had to show this too if you're watching the YouTube. There's a statue in front of the Boston Arena of it. That's pretty neat. It looks really cool.
Nice.
All right. Bobby Orr was the first player in NHL history to surpass 100 points while being assessed 100 penalty minutes in a season. He was a very feisty player. He ended up doing this 3 times with over 100 points and over 100 minutes in penalties. We've said this one on the show before, but it just bears repeating. He's the only player to win the Stanley Cup and Conn Smythe, Hart, Art Ross, and Norris trophies in a single season. Incredible. He is the only NHL defenseman to have 9 hat tricks in his career, and in 1970-71 set single season records for assists, points by a defenseman, and plus-minus rating at plus 124, which I do not know if that will ever be beaten, even though I'm not a big plus-minus guy, but that seems really hard to beat. And I think his career plus-minus was in like the 500s or something. And then last fun fact was my favorite quote I read from Gordie Howe. Orr's best move was putting on his bleeping skates. Substitute the word for bleeping, and that's it. I just love that. Great quote from Gordie Howe. For his rookie card, I actually going to save that because I know Josh is going to mention it when we get to the whole Bobby Orr section. I don't want to duplicate, but we've talked about it probably 10 times on our show already, but we'll touch on it just a little bit when we get to that section. So that's what we got for Bobby Orr. Loved researching him some more. We've done a ton on him, but you always learn something new.
Yeah, if you pick up a nugget here or there every time, then you just, I think, appreciate the player all that much more.
Yep.
Okay, Troy, as I mentioned at the top of the show here, a couple hours ago, really, we pulled into the driveway from traveling back my road trip with my 17-year-old Sam to the National. So we left Friday morning very early, I think like 5 a.m., because it's about a 5.5 hour drive to the show, and then got to Rosemont, where in the Donald, I think East Stevens Convention Center, where the show is held this year, about noon on Friday. So spent the remaining of the day Friday, all day Saturday at the National. And so I kind of want to break down. I have some sort of, I guess, outline of thoughts here that I wanted to share from the show, especially kind of giving that perspective too, as a hockey card collector and hockey card content creator. So overall, the show was massive. Right, if there's such a thing as being too big, this would be it. It was 600,000 square feet of sports cards, memorabilia, and companies that serve the hobby. Half the time we were lost. Like, how many times are you in a building where, other than IKEA, where you just get completely lost and you have no idea? My son would call me and I would say, well, let's meet up. And I would say, where are you? And he'd be like, I don't know. I'm trying to like help him find landmarks to get around there. I haven't seen, Troy, any like stats on the number of attendees, but there were so many people there. So if you have any worries or concerns about the health of the sports card hobby, I can tell you certifiably that the hobby is booming. Now, maybe the prices aren't at all time like pandemic highs, but it was so packed in there. On Saturday, it was hard to move for most of the day. And again, you're in a 600,000 square foot building, and it's wall to wall people. I also asked a number of dealers while I was there. I'm like, how's it going for you? Are you selling a lot? And all of them were like, we're selling stuff left and right.
Nice.
So I felt really good about the hobby, and there's just an energy there. You know, we'll talk more about like who I saw and what kind of companies were present and all that, but it was a very positive, energetic experience that I think made me more excited about being in the hobby and I guess where the hobby is headed. One thing that I found really interesting, and you know, all I have is a comparison from like a big show perspective between the Toronto Sport Card Expo and now the National. And I thought the National was a little bit more of a trade show and a little bit more corporate than an actual card show. I felt like there were, and I don't want to overstate this or understate this, I don't know what the word is, but it just felt very corporate-y. They're the biggest companies in the hobby, like the Whatnots, the Fanatics, the Paninis, Upper Deck. They had huge booths and massive experiences. And in general, you could tell they, number one, spent a lot of money. They did a really good job in creating really rich and good customer experiences. But it kind of felt like the tables of cards, like if you wanted to really go for that card show experience, were maybe pushed to the edges or around a little bit. And so if I had to like guess, and I might be wrong, this is just my perception, it was like 60-40, like corporate company booths versus actually tables of cards. So it would be, and if you guys have other feedback or another kind of your guess or perception as to what it was, go ahead and let me know, because I'd be interested to hear what you have to say on that. So Troy, there were celebrities everywhere. Just, well, first of all, they had, if you looked at the autograph signing list for the show, I think it was like 300 athletes. And these are all Hall of Fame, most of them like Hall of Fame type guys. But then you really saw I did for the first time, the Michael Rubin effect and the Fanatics effect. So one of those times when my son was trying to find me, he's like, I'm over at the Fanatics booth, and he was standing about 5 feet from a table that had some sort of like breaker guy, Michael Rubin and Allen Iverson, and they're opening a box of 86 Fleer basketball
Oh, wow.
together. Now, Allen Iverson isn't doing that without
Yeah.
Michael Rubin being involved. And you could really see too that Fanatics put it really working to create a lot of customer interaction and big experience. And they had Dennis Rodman. I don't know if he was
Yeah.
there with Fanatics, but there was just athletes everywhere. I even saw too that I think at one point Yarmir Yager was walking around and Jeremy
Yep.
Lee might have
Yep.
interviewed him on his Instagram. So you guys can go check that out if you're interested. But then you had Derek Jeter, who's involved with Arena Club. He was there. We went to PWCC to meet because they're sponsors of our show and just to kind of meet with them and chat with them a little bit. And they had said that, of course, Fanatics has bought in PWCC, that Michael Rubin brought, I think, Meek Mill and some other athlete over to their booth. And my son, who's 6'17" and into hip hop, his jaw hit the floor at that. Just crazy. Beyond Fanatics, though, you had friends. Gary Vaynerchuk had a big experience. And I'll tell you what, like some of these guys, I get it. You can have your own personal opinion of, you may like their content, you may align with their message, but Gary Vaynerchuk, the 2 days I was there, talked to regular people one-on-one the entire day.
Yeah.
And what was really impressive to me about it was he was like, you could tell he was active listening. He wasn't being distracted or checking his watch, or he had a bunch of kids, bunch of people that were telling him stories, and he was engaging with them and giving his time. So it's really hard not to respect that.
Yeah. Yeah. Like when you told me that, and I was like, yeah, Gary V, I don't understand it. I do not understand how he got so big. I don't understand V friends. It's just something that's passed me by. But to hear that, that's really cool, where he's meeting with everyone and talking, and that's the stuff you got to do. I mean, you can't just blow everyone off, or eventually it'll come back and bite you.
Do you know? So you don't know how he initially got famous?
I don't. I totally missed the whole Gary V thing.
Okay, I got some homework for you, and for anyone else that isn't aware of this that's listening. So I believe the story goes, I think he's from New Jersey, something like that, and his father owned a liquor store. And very early on in the internet, Gary has always been very entrepreneurial. He found a way to create an e-commerce site for wine.
Oh,
and it was called Wine Library. And it grew to be really popular to the point where a number of times, and this is kind of where your homework comes in, you can go on YouTube. He was on Conan O'Brien, like Conan O'Brien's like first show, like whatever, like the after the Tonight Show deal when he was in NBC. And he would do wine tastings with Conan, and they were amazing because Gary and Conan had like a very good chemistry, and they would play off of each other really well. So go on YouTube and find them. They were great. And at one point, my son went up and asked him my son's kind of got, entrepreneurial dreams. And so he asked for him some advice, and Gary gave him some sweet advice. So it'll be, to take the time and not to, to talk to people and engage with them, I thought was really cool. Another guy I got to get a lot of credit to, and I know he's a little bit controversial, and some people love his content, other people don't, is Jeff Wilson, Troy.
Yeah.
He really catered to kids and had a huge kids area. That guy works. Again, say what you want about him, but I don't know how he was standing up at the end of the day. Whether it be filming, he had kids in there, he was doing trade deals, I'm sure producing content, right? And you'll see a ton of it coming out, but you got to respect a lot of the work ethic for some of these people in the hobby.
Well, with Jeff Wilson too, he was like the one guy we saw at the Fall Expo in Toronto. He was there. I mean, a hockey card show, and we saw him. I didn't see many other people that were these so-called influencers or whatever. Again, 100%. Have your opinion on Jeff Wilson. I have definitely my opinion on him, and he's very polarizing, either way.
He's a grinder though, and he worked hard and was really engaging with people. So again, from that perspective, give him a lot of respect. One of the things on Friday that if you weren't there, you might have seen, if you were there, you definitely experienced, was it was super hot in Chicago on Friday. And not only hot, like very high humidity. I don't think the AC was on in the building.
Oh.
It was horrible. It was the hottest I've ever probably been inside a building. At one point, my son was like, I need to leave. And he
Yeah.
just took my car key and went back to the parking ramp for like an hour and a half. Just blasted the air conditioning. Now it was much better on Saturday, but it was just crazy hot on Friday. So the hockey cards. Now that was my big question coming into it. Like, how much cards will there be? I knew that there would be nothing like the expo. And so I've been setting my expectations around that. I can confidently say, of course, there's nothing that compares to the expo if you're seeking hockey cards. Now, I did find a few tables with some decent stuff. Maybe a dozen good tables there again, which isn't a lot. Maybe 2 dozen. I don't know. But it was pretty sparse. At one point, Brandon, our contact from PWCC, who's a hockey card collector too, was asking me to show him where some hockey cards were because he had been looking for those as well. So again, not a lot to buy. There was some decent stuff, more modern, of course, than vintage. I did find a few tables that had some okay vintage. Like I think I saw like one Gordie Howe 1951 Parkhurst card and maybe one Rocket Richard, but a little bit more modern than vintage. That being said, though, Troy, there were a couple amazing hockey cards that were more on display. So there's a McDavid rookie that we're going to talk about in Hobby News that's going into the part 2 of the Goldin 100. And then when I was looking at Rick Probstein's booth, and on Friday, he must have had like his PC in a case. This was a case that me and Sam were trying to estimate, was it 20, 30, 40 million dollars in one case? So I want to say like 7 or 8 52 Manals all lined up in a row. He had 2 fairly high grade. I didn't even know there were 1916 Babe Ruth cards that it went back that far.
Were those the Gaudies?
No, those are 33.
Oh, those are 33s. Gotcha.
Yes, this is way before, very, very early Babe Ruth. One of the biggest football cards is the Panini Contenders Brady auto.
The ticket
He had
thing.
a half a dozen or more all lined up. Jackie Robinson rookies, Bill Russell rookies. It was just incredible. And one of the cards was a PSA 10 2005 The Cup Ovechkin out of 99 RPA. Very, very nice card.
Nice.
Really cool patch, 3-color patch. So that was an awesome card to see. So there was some real higher end hockey cards that these companies had on display. But now from a hockey card perspective, though, Troy, the big win at the show was wax.
Yeah.
It was cheap. So I saw, as some examples here, 2021 Ice as low as 110 US. 2021 Platinum was going for 175.
Yeah.
And what did that come out at? Was that like 240?
I thought it was 250, but I could be off.
Maybe it's 200 to some 250, something like that. You could get 2022 Series 2 or extended for $80.
Yeah.
I saw Synergy for 80, Trilogy for 90. I think someone told me SP Authentic was pretty cheap there as well. Just really, really good wax prices. In fact, I saw actually a few card shops from Canada that were down there, like bigger LCS, and they were buying wax like crazy.
Yeah.
Because compared to what they could get it for, I think one of them said like can't remember if it was Steel City or David Adams or Blowout, one of those big guys, like they bottom out of certain brands. Just crazy. So wax, I think, was the big win for hockey. Upper Deck 2 also had their national promo packs that we featured. I think it was 1 or 2, maybe 2 episodes ago. So just like at the expo, at Upper Deck's booth, they had a list of different boxes that would qualify. I think it was like 6 or 8, something like that. And if you bought those boxes from a certified diamond dealer, you could take the sealed box back to Upper Deck. They would remove the plastic wrapper from it and then hand you one of their national promo packs. We ended up getting a few of those, and so you can see those in our pack opening videos soon. But it was kind of cool, and they were multi-sport because it's the national and it's at the expo. I think Upper Deck does all hockey, so they threw in some wrestling into. I think Tiger Woods maybe has some cards in it too, that sort of thing. So to me, wax was the big win if you're a hockey card collector and you like modern wax, because a lot of the best deals were on the kind of the more newer releases. My biggest goal at the show, knowing that it wasn't going to be real hockey card dominant, of course, was on the connection front. You know, we're still at the stage, our show's pretty new. We're developing our hobby relationships. And the big thing is meeting a lot of people for the first time that we've been chatting with over the past year. So it was just fantastic to get to meet and connect with people in the hobby. So, like, there's people on our show that we've had on our show, Troy, like Rob Gerard, sports
Yeah.
card therapist, Chris and Christina from Card Ladder, a couple of people we got to meet in person for the first time. Got to see old friends that we've, of course, met before, like Jeremy Lee or Mikey Singer from Sports Card Expo. Coach Co was there. The Cartel was there. Got to shake their hands, and always fun to see them and do that. And then I got to meet a number of our listeners, which is the best part and the thing that I look forward to the most. And I do have to mention one thing, and I haven't even had the chance because I just got back in town to give you yours yet, Troy. I don't want to mention his name. I do want to, but I didn't ask him for permission, so I won't, just out of respect for that. But Troy and I received an amazing gift from a friend and listener from Toronto who gave us a 1970 OPG Bobby Orr Art Ross card, a 65 Topps Terry Sawchuk, and a 88 OPG Brett Hall rookie. So you know who you are. Thank you so much. We will cherish these cards forever. I promise you. And then I do want to say for the record, because I always get really weird in these circumstances, we are humbled and grateful when people give us gifts in person or send us gifts. But Troy and I, and I'll speak for you, Troy, and you can chime in too.
Yeah.
We want you guys to know you don't have to. The fact that you listen or watch our show and message us and extend your friendship is the true gift that we want. And that's what you give us. And it's very fulfilling, and we're very grateful for it. And so thank you to the listener that gave us the gift. We're really grateful. But again, you guys don't have to. Do you feel weird when people give us stuff too?
Yeah, I remember. But then one of the people, I won't mention his name either because I didn't ask to share this anecdote, but he sent us a note just saying, hey, he's like, completely understand, but he's like, I just wanted to give you stuff, guys, because that's the way he wanted to show his appreciation.
Yeah.
So then, I mean, I get it, but obviously it's not, you don't have to. It's amazing. I'm trying to figure out, if you can see, my background's a disaster. My wife yells about it all the time. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do a new background and put some of my like cards that I want to put on display. And the one that I got, the Sawchuk from the listener, is definitely going on the back wall. So
I can't wait to give it to you. It's an amazing card.
Yeah.
And I know you're going to be really tickled when you get it. We're also able to connect with some of our sponsors, which I guess for us is really fun because we worked with these people for a long time. So we got to meet like Brandon at PWCC, learning about all the changes that's happening there. And I'm pretty excited about some of the stuff that's going on as Fanatics gets more and more involved, I guess, in their operations and strategy and what they're doing. And then I got to meet one of my favorite people and a guy who's become a quick friend, Mark Hill from My Card Post. He flew in. He had he was supposed to get in, I think, Friday night around like 10 o'clock and didn't get at his hotel until 5 a.m. Saturday morning. I guess, well, you would know this because you work for an airline, but that there were huge lightning storms Friday night. And he said that the whole grid was like shot from a flight perspective. But it was really great to meet Mark, and I hung out with him a lot at the show on Saturday. And I introduced him to some people. He introduced me to some people. And boy, I'll tell you, Troy, it made me really excited for him about his platform, My Card Post, because the way people react to it is just awesome. And I just know he's going to do really big things. And he's a super nice guy and definitely deserves it. On Saturday, I also had the opportunity from David and Troy from The Chase, the David Adams podcast or show that streams on Twitch. Boy, their production is like off the charts. They had like a whole studio, they had couches with like mics that like with like on sticks or whatever that boom all over.
Yeah.
We had a great conversation. They were super cool to my son because when they weren't shooting, he would go and ask them to hang on their couches on their set. And they were cool with it. So I want to thank them for inviting me on their show and then for being accommodating to Sam, who definitely use them as a spot to chill. And I guess one of the last things I'll say is speaking of my son Sam, who again is 17, it was just amazing for me to have another road trip with him and spend some quality time. If any of you have older kids, I think you'll identify with this. But for those with maybe younger kids, the best advice I could give you is cherish every moment with your children because it goes by so fast. It's crazy to think that he has 1 year left in our house before he goes off to college. And him and I
Before
had
you
so much
kick him
fun.
out.
Yeah, before you kick him out. Get out of here. We had so much fun though. He picked up a couple LeBron cards. Who LeBron is his hero. He was a basketball player, and he's been Mr. Golf this summer, and so he got a Tiger Woods rookie, and so he was really happy with that. My son's also interested in entrepreneurship, and so we went out for dinner on Saturday night with Mark Hill again for my card post. And I want to thank Mark publicly because he was very gracious with Sam and let him ask a million questions about his experience in starting a business and starting my card post, and gave Sam some fantastic advice. So he got advice from Gary Vaynerchuk, which is crazy, and Mark Hill. And so it was a good experience for him.
Awesome.
So I guess all in all, Troy, it was an amazing experience. Even though there wasn't a ton of hockey cards, there was sweet wax prices, which is always nice. But I knew there wouldn't be, again, a ton of cards. So I give it a 10 out of 10. Can't wait to go back.
Awesome.
Okay. Need to make a quick mention for Slab Sharks, who, of course, is a Gong Show partner and sponsor. Did not find Karn at all. I know he was there, but the show is so big, you literally wouldn't see people in days walking around. I wish I would have run into him, but I'm sure we'll see him soon. Again, though, thanks Slab Sharks for sponsoring our show. So the current Slab Sharks weekly auction is live. You can head to slabsharks.com for a link to the auction. Check out all the hockey cards. And frankly, there's lots of other sports cards too. They're really growing, I think, branching out. I spent some time perusing the auction from my hotel room when I was at the National. And here's some of the cards that stood out to me, Troy, in this week's auction. So there's this 2015 Upper Deck Connor McDavid Tour de Force rookie out of 10. Rookie auto out of 10. So it's a BGS 910. Kind of a cool card.
Hand numbering.
This card before.
Hand
numbering. Big on my list. Then next, if you're in the McDavid mood and maybe want to go McDavid Young Guns hunting, you can pick up a 2015 Upper Deck Series 1 sealed hobby box. So very good investment there. Don't open it.
Yeah, don't open it.
I would, and it would be a big mistake.
Yeah.
But this value, that's only going to go up over time. All right, so here's a cool card, Troy. This next one, a 2013 Artifacts Mario Lemieux Emerald dual jersey patch auto out of 8 BGS 810. I really like the design of this card. The emerald kind of foiling.
I'm looking at it again. I just love his signature, even though I can't tell what it says. I know it says Mario Lemieux, but it's one of those great signatures. But what hit me at first was like jersey and patch, and it's almost like they look like they should be flipped. Like the one looks more like a patch than the jersey, but I'm sure it's right. But and I like the green and the 5 out of 8. Yeah, that looks great.
Cool cards. Okay, if you're a Hurricanes fan, there's a Seth Jarvis marquee rookie seismic gold from the newest OPG Platinum release. And wait for it, Troy. It looks like it's centered, doesn't it?
It does. It's so bad. When this came up, the first thing I did was try to count the circles on each side, and it looks pretty good.
It's about as centered as OPG Platinum gets this year. So you can't complain too much, but had to throw it up there just because it's fun when you see ones with really good centering.
Yep.
And then lastly, I thought this one's a really cool card. A 1998 SB Authentic Matt Sundin Sign of the Times auto.
Great.
Pretty old school Sign of the Times SB Authentic card there. So there's tons more cards to choose from, of course, and these are just a couple that I have my eye on. And if you're a Canadian hockey cards collector and you need to convert some of your cards to cash, we'd recommend considering Slab Sharks for their eBay consignment services. They make it very easy to sell your cards on eBay because, well, they do all the work. Your cards will also be included in their popular and growing weekly eBay auctions where your cards will be exposed to a large pool of both U.S. and Canadian buyers. So, Troy, for complete information on their consignment services and to get started, visit slabsharks.com. It's time to get back to the Gong Show 25.
All right.
We're getting down to the wire here.
Yep.
We're going to go through numbers 10 through 6 today. And again, the Gong Show 25 is our rankings of who we believe are the current most relevant players in the hockey hobby. As I mentioned, so far we've counted down numbers 25 through 11. We have the players on your screen there. I guess for those listening, it's at 25 was Swayman, then Pedersen, Sorokin, Sider, Patrick Kane at 20, Slavkovsky, Stutzla, Beniers at 18, 17, Marner, Pasta, Tage Thompson coming at 14, Matthew Tkachuk, Nathan McKinnon, Trevor Zegras, number 12, and the number 11 was Leon Draisaitl. So I'm going to say again, well, first of all, if you want to hear any of our overview of those guys, I think for the last 3 episodes, we did 5 each. You can go back and listen or watch those. But again, a reminder that our Gong Show 25 list is our ranking of the current top 25 players in the hobby. Doing stuff like this is very subjective, and your order and your methodology, I'm sure, would be way different than what we do. And that's really what we see as part of the fun in doing this, is really in the debate. So where many times, like in life, there's no right or wrong answer. It's just opinions. And this is one of the cases. Now, you might be asking, why do we keep repeating this? Because we have people rage quit our show and every time we do this, because they're offended by our opinion. And we just want to be as clear as possible that, of course, anytime you do something like this, there's going to be disagreement. And this is just our view, and it doesn't make it right or wrong. And we actually like the debate. We want to hear where you disagree, and because maybe that we'll learn from that as well. So the factors we use to determine the rankings are things like the player's position, what their point production has been last year and throughout their career, their pedigree, so how they performed pre-NHL, if they're still kind of in that prospect mode, the consistency in which they produce, any awards and accomplishments they've won, what their personality, flair, or hype in the hobby is, how splashy their play is, and then, of course, looking at kind of their sales metrics and volume. So the volume of current sales, price trends, so on and so forth. Okay. I think we're ready to go on with our next 5.
All right.
So coming in at number 10 in the Gong Show 25 is our guy, Jason Robertson. Still very young, Troy, 24-year-old Dallas Stars forward, hailing from Arcadia, California. Got a Cali guy.
The hockey hotbed that is Arcadia, California.
He was the 39th overall pick in the 2017 NHL draft. Not bad to get a guy in the second round like Jason Robertson. No, I know they just extended their GM. Was he the guy that drafted him? Do you know?
I do not know.
If he was, I'm sure that's why he got the extension, because you pick a guy like this in the second round, you're doing good. You can hang your hat on that for a long time. He's a big kid, Troy. 6'3", 200 or so pounds. We talk about goal scoring pedigree a lot as really a solid indicator of success in the NHL and in projecting in the hobby. And when you look at Robertson's 5-year career in the OHL, prior to signing his entry-level contract with the NHL, he scored 149 goals in 198 games played. That's 0.7 goals per game over 5 years. Very, very good. Once he did sign his NHL deal, he did play a season in the AHL for the Texas Stars, putting up 25 goals, 22 assists for 47 points in 60 games played. Not spectacular, but pretty good nonetheless. And now he's played 3 full seasons in the NHL where he's amassed 104 goals, 130 assists for 234 points and 210 games played. So at the NHL level, he's 0.9 goals per game and 1.11 points per game. The best thing, though, is in each of his 3 seasons, he's gotten better.
Yes.
He went from 17 goals to 41 to 46 and 45 points to 79 to 109. In fact, this past season, he set the single season point record for the Stars while only being 23 years old. J-Rob is a 2020 young gun. His PSA 10 popped 1,135, 39% gem rate, last sold for $200 US, up 12% in the past month. So here's why we ranked him at number 10. The numbers are incredible for such a young player, and it's scary to think that he should only continue to get better. He, of course, is a goal scorer, and that drives hobby value, and it's a must to be in the top, the elite part of the hobby. I think, too, the Stars are a good team. Very young, strong core. that should put J-Rob in the position at postseason success for a lot of years to come. You kind of compare, Troy, his team situation to our guy like Kaprizov, who are rookies
Yep.
the same year. And if you think, wow, who could have postseason success? It looks a little bleak for our guy Kirill, and Jay Robson, just a great situation. He's also had his hobby breakthrough moment this past December. And I think why that's important, because it's sort of an acknowledgement for the hobby. It's like, okay, we get you. We see you. You're here. Because he had been kind of under the radar since then. And I think that was sort of a big moment. I'll give you kind of an example of this. So his 2022 Young Gun PSA 10, you go back to the start of last season or middle part of October, it was about 155 US. And you might be thinking, well, it's like 200 now. Big deal, right? Up 25%. What story does that tell? But when you throw in the pop count changes to that too, so when that was selling for 155, the pop count was about 300. And again, now it's over 1,100.
Yep. Wow.
So it's quadrupled in pop count, and also gone up about 25%, which I think is pretty impressive.
Yep.
So here's why we didn't rank him higher. This is the territory on the list where hardware and consistent years-long success is going to matter. And of course, he hasn't made it to the Cup Finals or won any of the types of awards that pad your resume to this point, but he's still very young. He could in the future, and that could be catapult him up the list. He just hasn't gotten there yet. I think it's funny too, Troy, when you have the benefit of hindsight and you look back. I remember when the Stars played the Golden Knights and they lost, that everybody was kind of thinking at that point, what's wrong with the Stars? Like they were almost like blowing the series. And now, of course, we know that, well, geez, the Golden Knights were, kind of the team of destiny.
Yeah.
At that point, of course, going to win the Stanley Cup. And so that series loss to me, I think is a little more forgivable with the benefit of hindsight. And I guess the last thing I'll say, and I'm sure we'll hear from other J-Rob fans, but all I can give is our perspective from afar. And I haven't really noticed much of a personality.
Yeah.
Or a big star factor. He seems a little more like a quiet, kind of unassuming, which is not a bad trait as a human being. But when it comes to the creating highlights and headlines and getting talked about, whether you have that kind of Zegras flash or Matthew Tkachuk kind of personality, I think it positions you a little bit better to be a bigger star in the hobby. Any thoughts on J-Rob?
No, J-Rob's fantastic. Again, came on everyone's radar this year in December. I just love that he's got like the exact trajectory we want to see, where he's over 100 points. Hopefully he can keep that up, maybe even increase it a little more. I'm a big J-Rob fan. And while you're kind of talking, I looked it up. The GM of Dallas, that he's still there. He was the GM of Dallas in 2013. He's still there, that drafted J-Rob. Yeah, and I think Dallas, I mean, you got to be excited. You got some good players. I like your goalie. And you talk about the playoffs too. You come to find out Ottinger was injured. There was just bodies banged up, which happens. But yeah, I like J-Rob. I think he's a great player.
Just some other notable hockey card stats for Robertson before we move on. According to TerraPeak, there's been 168 eBay sales over $1,000 US in the past 2 years. That's pretty impressive. 538 sales, more than $500. Highest publicly selling J-Rob card to date is a 2020 Young Guns Exclusives, which is out of 100 course raw. That sold for $5,877 US this past December, when he was kind of riding that rocket ship and having that breakthrough moment. So J-Rob, number 10. Okay, moving on to our next guy. Number 9, Kirill Kaprizov. Number 9 on our list, but number 1 in our hearts with a bullet. Love it. I've said it many times. I would adopt this kid if I could, just to drive him to practice every day, make him a sandwich, and say, have a good day at practice, Kirill. We just love him so much, and he's the first superstar we've ever had. We've been desperate for a player like him for many years, so we're trying to soak it all in here. He is a 26-year-old Minnesota Wild forward, originally from, oh boy, here we go, Troy. Novokuznetsk.
Yeah, Russia? I think that's right. That sounds right.
Sweet.
Good job, comrade.
Was the 135th overall pick in the 2015 NHL entry draft. So us Minnesota Wild fans had to be incredibly patient, though. We had to wait 5 years for this guy to come here. And as he remained in the KHL after being drafted, and it's not like we knew it'd be 5 years either. Like if you go back and remember what we went through, it was like, is it going to come this year? No. Could he come next year? I don't know. It was sort of a big soap opera for a long time. So I'm just kind of throwing that out there for any of our Flyers fans, that just to get ready, to buckle up, to have patience, to not ride the roller coaster with your guy Mitchkov, as he might be in that similar position as far as going back to the KHL and when and if he comes to play in the NHL. And I guess for your sake, I hope it's sooner than it was with Kaprizov. So he played Troy a total of 7 seasons in the KHL.
That's crazy.
Just 15 years old when he started in the league. He put up 124 goals, 123 assists, 247 points in 346 games played. He didn't produce a lot when he was really young, was a better producer towards the end of his KHL career. So he came to the NHL in 2020. He had 27 goals, 24 assists, 51 points in 55 games played, delivered immediate impact for the Wild. I mean, how many games did you watch him play where you're like, this is the best guy that we've ever had on our team? It was very soon. His performance in 2020, 2021 was good enough to win the Calder Trophy. And now 3 years into his NHL career, Kaprizov has tallied 114 goals, 120 assists, 234 points, and 203 games played. So it's 0.56 goals per game and 1.15 points per game. Now, Kaprizov is Troy. You know about his Young Guns, Troy? It's 2020. Ever seen it?
I do. I know lots about that card. Boy, every time that pop gets on there, it jumps like by 100. I swear to God.
Oh yeah, it's up to like 4,236. Has like a 65% gem rate. Last sold for 180 US on July 25th. Flat in the past month. So here's why we rank Kaprizov at number 9. While sweet and assuming, his play is utterly dynamic. He's electric to watch. And yeah, I think that that's important when, for guys that get a lot of kind of excitement and hype in the hobby. And so much so, he's a guy that scares you when he's got the puck on his stick in the offensive zone when he's playing your team. So if you're a LA Kings fan and the Wild are in your zone and Kaprizov is skating around and those like Mohawk edge things that he does, it's got to be terrifying. It just because everybody knows that something good will happen for the Wild and potentially bad for the other team. He's a goal scorer, a big moment producer. And I think too, like why he's so high in the hobby, part of it, Troy, I was kind of reflecting on this when I was driving home, that as we all know, timing in life is really important. And he just kind of lined up coming to the NHL, performing really well during that pandemic season when the sports cards were going crazy. And he was sort of the rookie that people latched onto from that 2020 class. And maybe for some reasons that you can justify and from some other reasons what nobody knows. But it's just sort of what happened. And he's kind of been riding the wave since that. Is he a better player than Jason Robertson? I don't know. I don't think so. I think you could have an equal argument one way or the other, but he definitely has had a lot more hype.
Yeah.
Right or wrong or good or bad or indifferent. Okay, so here's why we did not rank our guy higher. While Minnesota is definitely the state of hockey, we're proud of that. It's part of our culture, and our state is hands down, no questions, the closest in the U.S. it gets to hockey culture like that Canada sees. That being said, though, it's not actually a really big NHL market that gets a lot of attention nationally here in the U.S. or even internationally. We sell out every game. People care about it in the state, but I'm not sure anyone else around the country really pays much attention to the Wild, which I think could limit his hobby ceiling a bit. Then you have to look at last season where Kaprizov battled injuries. He only played 67 games, which hurt his overall production. His goal totals weren't as good as the previous season in his point totals, but he did score 0.6 goals per game and 1.2 points per game. So he actually had higher than his career average last year, but that's what happens when you get injured. And we saw it with Austin Matthews. We saw it with Cale Makar a little bit last year too. It's just going to lower those point totals. And then last thing, we kind of alluded to this already, but our team here isn't super, and that's me putting it as nicely as I can. We're basically in salary cap HE double hockey sticks with the Parisi and Suter buyouts. I'm not sure we're going to be in a position anytime soon. We're like a first round and out playoff team.
Yep.
Yeah, I can't see us not making the playoffs, but I can't see us winning a round either. And so that could be a ceiling on a sort of hobby value too. So what do you have to say about your boy Kaprizov?
No, Kaprizov's fantastic. He's one player that I've watched probably a majority of his games. He's a fantastic player. He's a fantastic passer. Another thing where you could say we didn't rank him higher is his teammates kind of stink. His line mates aren't the greatest. If you could give him
it's no help.
Oh, just someone. I know Zuccarello, and who else has he played with?
Well, Sam Steele was the center.
Steele's there. They have their moments, but it's nothing consistent to help him. And
he loses 25 assists.
Yeah,
easy
for sure.
Per year, and putting the puck right on somebody's stick that wasn't expecting it and just muffs.
Yeah, and they look it down. I mean, you can see the surprise on their face. I mean, I think Draisaitl's the best passer in the league. Boy, Kaprizov's close. He makes some amazing passes, but he's a great player. He's 26, so you got to watch the age. But excited to see how his career continues to progress.
Okay, some notable hockey card stats to close out Kaprizov here. According to Card Ladder sales history, there's been 419 Kaprizov cards that have sold for more than $1,000, 1,332 that have sold for more than 500. So again, making that Kaprizov J-Rob comparison, like we said, I don't know, maybe Robertson's even a better player. Who knows? I'm loyal to our guy, but when you look at the hobby stats, it's not even close. And the highest selling Kaprizov card to date is a 2020 Skybox Metal Universe 97 Retro Gold PMG 101 BGS 7.5 that sold for $28,800 in April 2022. That brings us to number 8, Cale Makar. I'm sure it's not surprising to you or anyone else, Troy, that Makar is the highest ranked defenseman on our inaugural Gong Show 25 list. Well, if it was surprising to you, that would be weird because you helped write the list. The 24-year-old blue liner for Troy, your Colorado Avalanche, was the 4th overall pick in the 2017 NHL entry draft. He's coming in at 5'11", 187 pounds, hailing from Calgary, Alberta, Canada, which must make him the second most famous person from Calgary then, Troy, because, of course, Jeremy Lee is Calgary's most famous citizen. So, close second to Cale Makar there.
Nice.
Prior to lacing him up for the Avs, Makar played for a couple of seasons at UMass. But he never heard of the Gophers, Cale?
Curious the Gophers, if the Gophers went after him.
Greatest legacy in all of college hockey? Those Gophers? Yeah. U of M?
Yeah. The Gophers, though, they get a little stingy with keeping it Minnesota players, even though they've expanded. It used to be during the Doug Woog era. If you weren't from Minnesota, you ain't playing for the Gophers. And then Lucia
wasn't Thomas Vanek like one of the first non?
Yeah, Vanek was one of the first ones. Grant Batolmi, I think he was North Dakota. Yeah. But yeah, Lucia came in and started opening it up because you had to. Eventually, when you got UND recruiting 23-year-old freshmen from North Dakota, you better start expanding your territory where you're picking up players from.
Well, Makar went to UMass. He did score 21 goals, added 49 assists for 70 points in 75 games played over his freshman and sophomore years. He also won Troy Lord Hobie's Award, or as normal people call it, the Hobie Baker Award in 2019. Wouldn't it be better if it was Lord Hobie's Award? Had to say that for fun. Makar's now played in the NHL for 4 seasons, amassing 65 goals, 181 assists for 246 points in 238 games played. That's 0.27 goals per game, 1.03 points per game. He also won the Calder Trophy as the NHL's best rookie the season prior to Kaprizov, 2019-2020, and had a pretty good year the following season, 2021-22. He barely beat your guy Kucherov in the Norris Trophy. Won the Conn Smythe and Lawrence Stanley's Cup.
Kucherov getting votes, even though he doesn't play D. I love it. No, I'm just kidding.
So Makar's good. Very, very good. He's a 2019 Young Gun PSA 10 pop 2,210. 64% jam rate, last sold for $423 US on July 26th. It is down 24% in the past month. Why we ranked him at number 8? Well, he's managed to accomplish almost the impossible, Troy. He's emerged as a true hobby superstar from the defensive position. Partly, I guess, because he's just so gifted offensively.
Yeah.
I guess, a long time. He's one of the more offensively gifted defensemen we've seen in the league. We talked about it already when we were going over Bobby Orr at our greatest player to wear number 4. People don't throw out those comparisons lightly, but during his cup run in 2021-22, it was almost constant and maybe even overdone at times. And he's just flat out got the play, hype, and hit factor. So why did we not rank him higher than number 8? Well, he's still a defenseman that probably won't ever score 60 goals in a season, which is kind of the territory we're getting to here in our Gong Show 25 list. So to get much higher on the list, he'll need to do all-time record-breaking type stuff. I still think his offensive game has another notch or two that it could go up. Again, we hear the Orr comparisons, but when you actually do compare them and you look at like specifically goals per game and points per game, it's honestly not much of a comparison to this point. Orr averaged 0.41 goals per game and 1.39 points per game over his career, where we just covered a minute ago, Makar's at 0.27 goals per game and 1.03 points per game. He's still going to get better. He's still young, but he's not quite. He's Orr light at this point.
Yeah.
Also, too, I think you got to throw in there a little bit like Kaprizov. Makar was banged up a bit last season, and it affected his production. Plus, I think, too, Troy, it would almost have been impossible to match or exceed what he achieved in 2021-22. Like, a little step backwards in hype was almost inevitable.
Yeah.
Everything went right in that Stanley Cup winning season. So any thoughts you have on or notes on Makar that you want to throw in there?
No, he's getting momentum from that one tremendous season, and he's kept up. He still looks like the player that he was 2 years ago. Obviously, he was injured. This year is going to be huge for him. What really happens with him and what we see. Because, again, if he regresses or if he falls into the 12 goals, 60, 70 assist guy, then we get back into the assist machine debate. But he's got that offensive skill, and we've seen it. Hopefully he's healthy the whole year, and he can come back and have a tremendous season.
And it's not just the skill. He's very dynamic and electric when he has the puck. So it makes him very exciting to watch. Some Makar notable hobby stats, according to Card Ladder sales history, Troy, been 493 Cale Makar public card sales of more than $1,000. 1,659 cards have sold more than $500. And the highest selling Makar card to date is a 2019-20 Exquisite Collection NHL Shield Patch Auto 101. BGS 7.59 auto grade, sold for $22,800 in April of 2022. 2 more left in the Gong Show 25. Number 7, Cole Caulfield. 22-year-old Canadian forward, born in Wisconsin. Another U.S. kid. Crazy. 15th overall pick in the 2019 NHL entry draft. A little on the smallish side, coming in at 5'7", 175 pounds. Prior to starting his career with the Canadiens, Caulfield played for a couple seasons for the University of Wisconsin. Holding judgment there. Where he scored 49 goals, added 39 assists for 84 points in 67 games played. In his 2 seasons with the Canadiens, he scored 49 goals, 30 assists, 79 points, 113 total games played. So that's 0.43 goals per game, 0.70 points per game. Of course, unfortunately, he was hurt this past, I think, January. Ended up only playing 46 games in the 2022-23 season. He did, though, score 46 goals and added 10 more assists for 36 points. It was a huge disappointment for Canadiens fans and really for the hobby, too, as he was the big and has been the big 2021 rookie. But with you look at 26 goals in 46 games, that is a 46 goal pace over an 82 game season. So that's not bad for a guy in his second season. What do you have got there? Who knows? He might have hit a wall had he stayed healthy, but the pace was really, really good up until the point he got hurt. Caulfield is a 2021 Young Guns. His PSA 10 popped 2,192 with a 35% gem rate. Last sold for $252 on July 27th. It's down about 6% in the past month. So I do want to make a note here too, and just again to illustrate how the gem rate affects the pop count. When you look at with that 35% gem rate, I didn't write the number down, and you could just do the math. At 2,192 PSA 10s, that means it's something like 6,500 cards have been submitted. So if he had the same gem rate as Kaprizov, I think his pop count would be higher or would be very, very close.
Yeah.
Right. And so this is a case where we don't love when a flagship series come out and has really low gem rates. But now if you're a Caulfield guy and you're a Young Guns collector and you want to build value into it, that 35% gem rate is almost protecting, I think, the value to a certain extent. So why did we rank Cole Caulfield at number 7? Well, throughout the past year, there has been, and there will continue to still be, a number of 2021 sets released. And to this point, he's by far the biggest rookie chase in what I'll call the 2021-22 hobby class. And I think, Troy, you can even argue that Caulfield is a bigger chase than any of the rookies in the current 2022-23 hobby class to this point as well. And so these are the sets that are coming out now, and he's the guy that a lot of people are chasing. So there's a lot of attention and big collector focus on his cards. Now, playing for the Montreal Canadiens doesn't help or doesn't hurt your hobby hype either, and he's in a huge hobby market as well, lots of collectors. He's a goal scorer, which we know the hobby loves, and he's shown promise that maybe he can be a 40-plus goal guy. So I guess, too, I want to say here that this is a guy you may think, how is he number 7? How is he ahead of Cale Makar? He just has more hype. And he just has more. He has not produced or accomplished what Cale Makar has accomplished. There's no arguing that. But when you look at whose cards are selling right now, today, more of and for more, it's Cole Caulfield. And a lot of it, again, does have to do with the fact that he's the rookie, the key rookie in the sets that are coming out. 2021 Credentials comes out on next Wednesday or this Wednesday. Who's going to be the big chase? Cole Caulfield. So, that's where, again, timing plays a factor. So why we didn't rank him higher? Well, with Caulfield, again, it's all about promise and potential. And to get much higher on this list, you're going to have to deliver. Right? It's about as high as you can get based on, maybe one more guy. We'll get into later. Not only does Caulfield need to put up the numbers to move up higher in the list, but he'll need to win some probably hardware too. Trophies, awards, team success, that sort of thing. I think, too, you can also, given the fact he was hurt and it's happened with other small guys, from a limiting perspective or a cautionary perspective, you may have concerns about his ability to stay healthy over the long haul. And guys like Jack Hughes had to prove that they could come back and stay healthy. And now that's kind of where Caulfield and his buddy Slavkovsky are kind of in that mode now, too. So any thoughts on Caulfield at number 7?
I'm still worried about injuries and his small stature. Now, Slavkovsky also got injured, and he's a huge dude, so who knows? But you see articles going each way that small guys are getting injured, that's overblown and stuff like that. But I'm still a little worried, a little cognizant on Caulfield on just that standpoint. He's obviously shown talent, like to get a whole 2-game season out of him. And I'm going to make one – it's not a correction, but just so we don't get jumped on by people – when we say in his 2 seasons, we meant 2 full seasons with the Canadiens. We know he played in a year before, like 10 games, but we didn't include those stats in that point per game stuff. So we know it. Just you don't need to tell us. We got it. But yeah, I mean, I like Caulfield. He's obviously a big chase, and you're so right on just he's the guy, and it helps him that all of the products coming out now 21-22 because it's pumping him up because he's the one guy everyone's chasing. Now, next year, when that products move through, now it's on performance, like you said.
When we're on to Connor Bedard sets next year, and if he has 14 goals in April, he won't be number 7 on this list. This is where he is today. Okay, last guy we're going to feature at number 6, Jack Hughes. Last spot before the top 5. Another 20-year-old. This time a native of Orlando, Florida. We've had a California kid, an Orlando kid, a Wisconsin kid. Is stuff changing here in the U.S. when it comes to hockey?
The American development model maybe starting to show some fruits of its labor, I guess.
It's kind of nutty. Hughes Troy was the first overall pick in the 2019 NHL entry draft. Another smallish guy, not quite Cole Caulfield small, but he's 5'11", 175 pounds. Prior to the 2019 draft, Hughes played for the U.S. national U18 team. We're in 50 games played. Check this out. He had 34 goals, 78 assists for 112 points. So that's more than 2 points per game. That is good.
Yeah, and they don't play a easy schedule. They play some college teams. I wonder how they did against Shattuck. I should look that up.
Oh, we should. To this point, he's played 4 seasons in the NHL, and he was not a superstar right out of the gate. He battled some injuries that caused him to miss 54 games over his first 3 seasons. Plus, I think it's safe to say he underwhelmed a little bit in his first, especially his first 2 years in the league while he was acclimating to the NHL. And I think you made the point a number of times on our show that not everybody's trajectory and journey, I guess, that overused word, into the
Yeah.
NHL is the same. And sometimes guys develop at different paces. And it took him maybe a year or 2 longer than guys that maybe are a little more shot out of a cannon and produce right away. One thing you can say, though, Troy, is his point production did improve in each of his first 4 seasons. So a lot like J. Rob, kind of similar in that. Culminating in a really strong last season, 2022-23, he scored 43 goals, added 56 assists, barely missing that 100-point threshold with 99 points in 78 games played. Of course, a fantastic season for a 21-year-old. Hughes is a 2019 Young Guns. His PSA 10 popped 3,751. Does that surprise you a little bit?
Oh yeah, that every time we talk about him, that we read off that huge pop number, it's just like wow,
75%.
75. Just don't forget about it. Is that why you put the canvas card up? Just not.
Don't buy just buy anything other than his Young Guns. Last sold for $251 US on July 27th, down about 2% in the past month. So why we ranked him at number 6? Over the past 6 months, his hobby momentum, I think, has really accelerated.
Yep.
And he's kind of at the point where maybe he's been anointed a star. I think so. I kind of feel like he has. He's got the pedigree, personality. Right? We don't get to say that a lot about these guys, and flair to his game that should make him very popular, even outside of New Jersey. He's another one of these kids, like we talked about with the Zegras, whose style of play is just ripe for the Instagram highlight.
Yep.
Hughes is very young, should get better if he can stay healthy. I think, too, the novelty of being a Hughes brother doesn't hurt either. As you know, it's not just that there's 3 brothers in the NHL, but all of them are really good.
Yeah.
And so I think that provides another reason for people outside the market and internationally to pay attention to him. And the Devils are another team with a very young, exciting core. They made it to the playoffs this year, maybe winning a round, surprising people. And Hughes definitely led them during that little, I guess, mini run, but it was a good step in the right direction for them. Why we didn't rank Jack Hughes higher? Well, he's had 1 elite season to date, and I think needs to demonstrate. The guys he's running up against right now that are higher than him have produced at very high levels for a long, long time. So, again, some of what the reason why is that number 7 or number 6 is still largely based on potential. Any new notes or other comments that you have on Jack Hughes?
No, he's the one guy on this list I've probably seen play the least out of any of them. I just don't watch a lot of New Jersey games, but I do love his personality when I've seen it, like the interviews and the little quick hits that they do on the NHL network and stuff. He seems like a very personal guy that I want to see success. I wish he could have got to 100 points. I hate when people get to 99. So I want to get to the 100, but I think he's a great player. Now, if I can figure out who all his brothers are, I'll be okay and not throw in our favorite, Jack Quinn.
Quasi brother Jack Quinn.
Quasi Hughes brother Jack Quinn.
There you go. Okay, to finish out Jack Hughes, some notable hobby stats. To date, 174 Hughes cards have sold for $1,000 or more US dollars per card letter sales history. 466 have sold for more than 500. But again, that's really accelerating pretty rapidly.
Yeah.
Top all-time public Hughes sales, 8,500 US for 2019. The Cup RP at a 99, BGS 9 that sold this past April. So that gets us now, one back into, we've done through the top 20 or the first 20 in the Gong Show 25. So the remaining 5 we'll go through on Thursday's show. Pretty excited about that and get everyone's feedback on kind of where you like our list, where you agree, disagree, all that sort of good stuff. Again, feel free to message us. You ready for hobby news, Troy?
I'm ready.
Aren't phenomenons a funny thing in life? A week ago, I had never heard of any sort of like sports puzzle game. And now it's Immaculate Grid Hockey, Puck, Dooku, all these sort of games that are,
Yep.
it seems like nobody was talking about a week ago and everybody's talking about now. They're really fun, kind of grid style games. You can just Google Immaculate Grid Hockey or Puck Dooku. It's like off of Sudoku, I think. How do you describe it, Troy?
Yeah, it is. It's a grid, a 3x3 grid, and the top grid might have a team or some kind of accomplishment. And then down the left-hand side, it'll have teams or an accomplishment, and you gotta pick a player that matches both those things. So if you're watching the YouTube video, you got like 30 plus wins and Toronto Maple Leafs intersect. So who would that be? I almost feel like we should do this. Felix Potvin. Yeah, Potvin. I'm there we go. You can watch us stink at it, but then like Wild would probably be Nicholas Backstrom, the goalie.
Evan Dubik.
Did he have 30?
Yeah.
We're gonna get, and then Kings would probably be Quick. The only one that really jumped out at me is like I always have to with these games, I always have to go through the Wild. I don't care if it's like two different other teams. I got to think of the Wild player that went that way because like this one where it's Predators and Kings, Fiala. Because I know he came to us from Nashville and then he went to the Kings afterwards. But yeah, they're both awesome. They're fun to play.
Long story short, I'm terrible though. I found on the last 4 days that I can get like 4, and then my brain melts down. So they're just a lot of fun. I just thought I would throw it out there in case anyone I can't believe at this point anyone hasn't heard about it in the hobby. It just came out of nowhere. But yeah. Okay, we're gonna move on to.
I'm gonna sit here and play it while you. No, I'm just kidding. I'm like, I want to see how many guys I get. I love the percentage too. That tells you how many people got it.
Troy just checked out of the show. We'll see him on Thursday's episode. Well, Troy, there's the. Wait a minute. That's not the image, Troy.
What?
That is the wrong image.
Oh no!
You need to go while I'm talking. You need to go back to the email and find the right image.
Complete Gong Show. All right, you talk. I will find what I did wrong.
What's on the screen, if you're listening, is a little infographic that has been making the rounds last day, and of course, a number of people sent it to me because it's the list of the 30 NHL players that have achieved the triple gold club status, which of course is when they win a gold medal at the Olympics, a gold medal at the World Championship, and a silver Stanley Cup. Triple gold club. Anyways, it's pretty cool to see all the players that have accomplished this feat. So first observation, Troy.
There it is. I found it. I got it.
So I finally said on the name, it's the 2/3 gold club.
I like it. I love it.
Right. Got my little graphic there. First observation, no Americans have achieved this, which I guess is not a huge surprise.
No.
But we've got a lot of Americans in Gong Show 25, so maybe that'll be rectified at some point soon. Home of the Toronto Sport Card Expo and nation of fantastic people, Canada, not shocking, leads the way with 11 of the 30 players that are in the 2/3 gold, 1/3 silver club. Or what other people call the triple gold club. Some big Canadian names, of course, too. Patrice Bergeron, Sidney Crosby, Rob Blake, Joe Sakic, Brendan Shanahan, Johnny Toes.
Yep, Johnny Toes.
Johnny Toes, we like to call him. So, a bunch of big names on the Canadian side there. Next country with the most players that have won the triple gold or achieved triple gold is the home of Troy's favorite meatball, Sweden.
Yeah, here we go.
Ever heard of Peter Forsberg, Troy?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's on it. Also, Nicholas Lidstrom, Henrik Zetterberg from Sweden. There's 7 Russians that have achieved this, including Pavel Datsuk, Igor Larionov, Alexander Mogilny, who should be in the Hall of Fame. Right?
Yes.
2 from the Czech Republic, including our guy Jaromir Jagr, and 1 lonely Finnish guy, Valtteri Lipula.
Yeah, Flipula, I think.
When did he play?
No idea. No idea. Well, I just like last year. Here, I'll look it up. Flipula.
It's probably.
Well, he doesn't even come up in Hockey Reference. When you spell his name wrong. 2000. Overall, though, he's 2006 to 2021.
Okay. Oops.
15-year player.
Just kidding. We know who it is. Overall, though, it just illustrates how few players have ever achieved this feat. And so I had to throw it up there because I think 12 people at least had sent me it laughing at me. But, well, Troy, the next story is a big one. A really, really big one. So part 2 of the Goldin 100 auction goes live this Friday. And there's only 2 hockey cards in it, but
yeah.
holy moly, are they monsters.
Yeah.
So first, we have this card, which is on the screen. I'll describe it for those that are listening. It's a 2005-6 The Cup dual NHL Shield patch of Wayne Gretzky and Mario Lemieux PSA Authentic. Is this a good card, do you think, Troy?
Very good card.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I don't think it'll approach anywhere near, of course, a record Gretzky sale, but
Yeah.
could it? My question on this one, though, is could it be a Lemieux record? So interestingly, the top Lemieux sale to date is from a year later. It's a 2006-07 The Cup Dual Shield Autos. Now that card is a 2-sided card where one
Okay.
side is Gretzky, the other side has Lemieux. So off the bat, right? So that card has an auto, which is better than not having an auto, but it's a 2-sided thing. So I got to ask you, Troy, would you prefer a Gretzky 101 dual shield with no auto, but it's all on one side? Or would you prefer the auto version, but it's one player on one side, the other player on the other side?
I think I'm an auto snob. You sent me. Is this it right here?
Yeah, that's the Gretzky, and then Lemieux's on the other
The other side. Yeah, I think I'm always the auto guy, even though they're on different sides.
I don't like the different side thing.
Yeah, I
really
get
bugs
it.
me.
I totally get it. Like, because if you put in a case, you're gonna always show one side unless you get like some kind of little spinner to slowly spin it and then replace the batteries all the time.
If you can afford that card, you can probably afford
Yeah.
the spinner. So
Yeah.
maybe,
Or maybe what was the duels? Whoops, I'm all over the place here. Sorry. Okay, yeah. 101. I was gonna say,
well,
well,
it's 101.
Yeah, you can't get 2 of them.
Okay, so this card right here on your screen sold for $93,480
Wow.
in October 2021. So it'll be fascinating if the card that going back to the dual shield on the same side from 2005, it's a year earlier. It's the first year of the Cup. Yeah, I wonder if it'll rival that price. Now, the second highest selling Lemieux card is the dual NHL Shield 101 with him and Crosby.
Yep.
From the same year, 2005-06. Now, this sold for 86,400 US in May of 2022. So now I got to ask you the question, what do you think is more valuable? The Lemieux Crosby, where you have Crosby rookie year, both, of course, with the Pittsburgh Penguins connection, or would it be the Lemieux Gretzky? That's a tough one for me.
Yeah, I don't know. I personally, I would rather have the Gretzky Lemieux because as much as I appreciate Crosby, I'd look at it every time and think about how he beats the US all the time and get sad. But
yeah, and Gretzky never beat the US. So.
He didn't do it. I don't think did Gretzky do it in overtime though to like clinch the medal. That's just probably.
Oh no, they're 3 great cards, and it's just fun to think about kind of where this one that's in the Goldin 100, the Gretzky Lemieux 101 Shield from 2005, the Cups, kind of where that'll fit in from a value perspective. And again, too, it's a little bit different time, of course. These prior sales were in October 2021 and May of 2022. The market is probably a little bit stronger each of those times, so we'll have to see. But it could just be 2 guys fighting it out, and who knows, the price could go up. But the other card, Troy, in part 2 of the Goldin 100 is a doozy. It's a 2015-16 Ultimate Collection Connor McDavid NHL Shield RPA 101 PSA Authentic.
Yeah.
I think most people agree this is the numero uno, the biggest, the best Connor McDavid rookie in existence. So if any card should ever set a record for a McDavid, you would think this would be it. You agree that this is probably his best card?
I don't know if it's his best. I think it looks fantastic. I'm not the biggest McDavid expert, but this thing looks just awesome. The patch looks awesome. Autograph looks good. I love that there's a halfway decent picture of him. You can see his full face. It's a great looking card. I love the blue or aqua, whatever that reflection color is. That looks
Very cool.
fantastic.
Very great design. And I've heard some people ask too, well, why didn't they get the card graded? I think it's the right move in this case
I
just
do
to
too.
authenticate it
Yep.
because then you don't have anyone freaking out. All people want to know, is it real? Is this it? Is this the one card?
Yeah.
And I think that authentic, uh, encapsulation accomplishes that
Yeah.
goal.
I mean, I can already tell you it's not gonna be a 10. I can just tell you by looking at the corner. So don't even bother with it. Just get it authenticated.
That brings us back to the question: is this going to be, or could this be a new record McDavid sale, or one of the biggest hockey card sales of all time? The top McDavid sale to date is a 2015-16 The Cup RP out of 99 PSA 10 that sold for 228,000 last July via Heritage Auctions. An amazing card, a great
Amazing.
patch, PSA 10, tough as heck to get out of the cup, but it's out of 99. This is a Shield 101 auto. You can't even compare the two from a scarcity and exclusivity of a card perspective. So I think, yeah, but my gut reaction is this card that's going up for auction on Friday should break record. I did reach out to a couple kind of big heavy hitters in the hobby and guys that buy big cards, and it's interesting. I heard that I asked them, well, what is this going to sell for?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the guys that I reached out to said last year would have been a 500,000 easy
Mm.
or more. This year, with all the kind of goofiness and uncertainty in the economy, more who knows. But when you consider that the highest McDavid sale to date is 228, and then you go back and we'll talk about a minute in our Bobby Orr. I think the other than a Gretzky rookie, the highest selling card I believe is an Orr for 276.
Hmm.
This Ultimate Collection NHL Shield 101 could be the high selling hockey card ever, other than a Wayne Gretzky rookie. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to do more than 4 million like
Yeah.
the Gretzky PSA 10. But so, what do you think? Let's play the guessing game. Now, we're really good at this because we're going to talk about later with Ovation. But
yeah, I'm gonna guess. I was thinking about it. I think I'm gonna go with it sets a record. I'm saying like in the 300 to 400 range.
got to
However,
pick
it's
a
got
number.
300,000. However, when you look at compare it to this one, the other one you kind of brought up,
Yeah.
I hate this. I hate the auto on this. That stinks. I don't like that there's wording behind it.
It's
Then
hard to
look
see
at
it a little
this.
bit.
Look at this. The 101, it just looks, I think it looks 100 times better than this card.
I can tell you too. So Goldin had the Ultimate Collection 101 Shield at their booth. So I sat and stared at it for a good 20 minutes and tried to find a way to
think how much you were going to bid on it.
I'll be out of the bidding instantly. I'm going to guess 425, but I don't know. Maybe that's rich. So again, massive card, and cannot wait to see what this goes for. And we had talked about too an episode or two ago that there haven't been any monster cards that have come up for sale this year. Well, there goes that. Because here is potentially the biggest McDavid rookie. Let's move on to our top 5 highest selling Bobby Orr cards that are not his rookie card. Given this is sort of our Bobby Orr episode, we thought we want to give number 4 from Boston a little bit of extra love. Much like with Gretzky Troy, his 66 Tops and 66 Tops USA Test are two of the most iconic and valuable hockey cards in the hobby. And they kind of dominate, like when you think of a player and a card. I also think it's kind of funny too that there's 2 versions of the Gretzky rookie, and then the second biggest rookie hockey card in all the hobby has 2 versions as well, with the USA Test and the regular Tops. So if we were to look at top sales for Bobby Orr cards, it would be about 75 straight sales of one or two of these both these versions at different grades. And just to give everyone context here, so the 1966 Topps USA Test, a PSA 9 sold for $204,020 in February of 2019. And then the highest selling regular Topps from 1966 is a BVG 10 Pristine that sold for 276,000 US in February of 2021. If you would have guessed, what are the odds that a pristine
Yeah.
Bobby Orr rookie exists? It's staggering. It's got to be like 1,000,000,000 to 1, right?
Yeah.
This card. It's incredible. Like, I actually spent some time just admiring it and zooming in
Yeah.
real close. It's pretty incredible. But we want to know, okay, so beyond these two that again dominate the sales charts, what are the most valuable Orr cards kind of when you get past them? So we thought we'd take a look at, of course, at the top 5 selling Orr cards that are not his 1966 tops or USA Test. Here they are. Starting at number 5, 2012 Fleer Retro Green PMG out of 10 BGS 8. Try this card sold for 13,100 US by eBay in May of 2022. You like that card?
I like the picture.
I know you're not like a huge PMG
Yeah,
guy.
I like the old timey skates. Yeah, it looks good. I don't like the green background, but I like the card. I like the image on it.
I think the contrast is cool. Sometimes like weird colors kind of make the picture pop a little bit. And I like this stick position on that one. You don't get that a lot in
Yeah.
cards. So I think that is pretty cool. Okay, number 4, 1971 OPG Bobby Orr PSA 9. Sold for 15,000 US this past May by the PWCC Vault. Very much from that iconic 1971 set. High grade. These cards are impossible to get centered. So obviously a very, very cool card. You a fan of this one?
Yeah, I like this. Lots of white space. I'm not a fan of portrait cards in particular, but I like this one. It's a 70s card. It's goofy. The Bruins looks weird. It's in green, but I like this card.
Yeah, it reminds you of the Brady Bunch, right?
Yeah.
Kind of that whole vibe to it. Okay, number 3, highest selling non-rookie Bobby Orr card ever. 1965 Crown Life Spotlight Bobby Orr PSA 5. Sold for 18,000 US in May of 22 via Heritage. I hate this card. I think it's weird. It's like a mugshot from Alcatraz.
Yeah.
I appreciate it's like pre-1966.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot about this set, but if I got this card, I would immediately sell it, take the money, and buy a Bobby Orr card that I like more.
Yeah, it almost looks like they took a photo like on a Polaroid and threw it in a pack, but like I can't tell. I think it's a shadow, but it almost looks like he has a half a mustache. It's pretty crazy. Yeah,
Makes
I'm
me
not a fan.
want to learn about that set a little bit. Like, what's going on with that? Like,
well, it's got to be his junior team, right? Yeah, Oshawa. Okay.
Number 2, 1967 Topps PSA 10. So second year. PSA 10 again, and these sets are just wild to me too.
Yep.
So for 19,400 US in May of 2021 by the PWCC Weekly. That's kind of a cool card. I'm sort of meh about this card.
I'm a little indifferent. I don't know. I like art on cards. I like drawings, but I'm before I think I really liked like the art on the back, the stands drawn in, but now the hot pink and I don't know. I think it's soured on me a little bit.
And the highest selling Bobby Orr non-rookie card is this one, a 1969 Topps or PSA 10, sold for 30,000 by Heritage this past May. I love this card. This one I jive with.
Yeah, great card.
So of all these cards, throwing away price, right? Just a card that you like the most. Which one are you taking?
I am probably going with Actually, I'm gonna go with the one, the last one. That's 69. That's by far my favorite. Just again, it's not a portrait guy, but I do like the look of the card with the art of the stick.
Well, it's like after the game in the locker room, he's like he just scored like his 4th hat trick or whatever, and he's just yucking it up.
It looks like a 5-year-old drew the Boston symbol. I love it.
What this little exercise does illustrate, though, of course, is that there's a huge drop from his rookie card. So outside of his rookie, 30 grand is the highest selling Orr card that we could find, at least from a public sales perspective. Want to make a quick mention for PWCC, a Gong Show partner. Thank them for their continued support of our show. Just a reminder that the current PWCC weekly auction is live. There's 153 hockey cards in the auction, Troy. You and I will highlight our favorite vintage and modern cards on Thursday's show, like we always do. Also, this coming Sunday, you can look forward to the return of the PWCC Hockey Watch Party with the Hockey Cards Professor Extraordinaire Jeremy Lee and me, I guess, on Jeremy's YouTube channel, Sports Cards Live at 8:30 Central Standard Time this Sunday. Be sure to head to pwccmarketplace.com. Check out the weekly auction or their fixed price marketplace that has over 5,000 hockey cards that are just waiting to jump in your collection, Troy. Go buy them all.
All right.
New product releases.
Ooh.
Some juiciness going on.
Let's talk.
We got to get real talk. Real talk with Josh and Troy. 2020 Ovation, 2021-22 Ovation, thoughts and instant reactions. Yeah. So if you caught our last show, we did a little guessing game on the box price for the ePack exclusive 2021-22 Ovation release. And because for some reason Upper Deck doesn't disclose the price before the product is live. I actually asked them about that at the show. I can't remember what they said, if I even got an answer, but we'll work on that. And it's kind of weird because we know the prices of the physical products like months in advance. And then it's like, surprise, here's what the price is when the product goes live. So if anyone needs to recall, Troy had guessed 140 US and I had guessed 130. Boy, were we wrong.
Yep.
$230 for a box of Ovation on ePack. And I got to be honest, our initial reactions, we were shocked.
My initial reaction was to call you and start complaining.
Well, other than the cup, this is the only box we have not bought on release date, I think, since we started our show. So I had logged in because we were trying to figure out the time, and it would end up being, I think, 9 a.m. Pacific time is when it released. And I was kind of planning my day, and I was going to go in and buy the box and record the video so we could do a pack opening series on Ovation. And I kind of stopped me in my tracks. And I had a hard time processing it. When I think we had talked about when we were going over, well, it wasn't even the checklist because they didn't release a checklist before the release either. It was like their sell sheet that because Ovation hadn't been released in a while, we didn't have a lot of context. We didn't have that checklist. So it was really hard to wrap our head around. And we ended up, I just wasn't comfortable buying it because I didn't understand it, right? I wasn't going to rush to judgment. I wasn't going to say, well, I don't think this is worth it. I'm like, I need to learn more about this product before I can decide if I want to spend $130 or $230 of our show's money on a box. And then we started hearing from people, and my red flags, I guess, again, more and more red flags started to go up. One of the comments that we heard from a lot of people, whether it was on our Discord or messaging us, was, so you're telling me you got OPG Platinum, which like at the National is now $175, and Ovation's $230, where I think the hobby kind of reveres Platinum as a big time release and one of the most important releases. And then this Ovation product comes in, and that kind of was a head scratcher to me. And then another issue with Ovation, frankly, Troy, is the checklist. So once the product goes live on ePack, then you can look at the checklist there too and see kind of who's in it and what are the subsets. There's a few rookies that are missing. There's no Mason McTavish in 2021-22. There's a couple other guys too that are a little bit of head scratchers in that regard. Then I've been kind of following over the past week now the secondary market sales, and it's been really slow. So I've only found on eBay, Troy, through TerraPeak, 116 sales in the past 7 days of Ovation cards. And now here's the interesting part. Not only are there not a lot of sales, I looked up like the guy, right? It's a 2021 set, so Cole Caulfield. Of the cards for sale, there's not a single auction. They're all buy it now. So I read that as, again, people don't know how to price these and are scared. That if they auction, they're going to go real low. And so they're just like, well, I'm going to kind of set a high price, buy it now, and sort of see what happens in the secondary market. So kind of a lot of red flags and really led us to pump the brakes on this one a little bit. But I was really excited that we were heading to the National and knowing that I was going to get to talk to Upper Deck. And so one of the first things I can say is I did see a bunch of these Ovation cards in the flesh because Upper Deck had kind of a secondary booth on the other side of the National that was more like ePack oriented, and like they've got that Evo product and kind of all their digital stuff going on. They're pretty cool in person. in hand, they're great. But again, that's that whole ePack thing where it's like you don't kind of get the full flavor of the cards till they're in hand. And when you see the scans and you see them in digital, it's hard to kind of get it. And I guess I want to get your opinion, Troy. And here's where I'm at with all this. I don't know if I know enough to really argue Upper Deck's knowledge or understanding of how they build their products, what the market demand is, or anything like that. But for me, and just my opinion, is 230 is too much for this product, and I'm going to be a pass. And that's even after seeing them and liking them in person. But what I will say is that I don't know. Maybe this will be a product that you have to see what happens on the secondary market. Maybe it'll never catch on, or it could be a slow builder. Where one of these products, where 5 years from now, kind of everybody does seem to get it and really kind of understand the inserts or the autos or the rookie parallels that have a lot of value. I've just learned so much in the past year plus doing this show that when you don't feel like you have the proper education or understanding, that you should never buy, because buy what you get, buy what speaks to you, buy what you understand. So that's where I'm at. What are
Yeah,
your
I'm
thoughts?
with you. I'm with you. The price threw me off. Like I said, we talked immediately, and I felt it was too much. And again, I'm not the product manager. I don't make the decisions on pricing. It just seemed like a lot for a set that is coming back all digital or all physical on ComC or on ePack. It seemed like a price that I didn't like, and we'll see how the market reacts, like you said. Now, I actually have went in and I'm trying to look at the scans, and I don't know if you did that too, because you can actually see the scan of every card if you go to the checklist. And I think they still look a little dull to me, like they're just not bright or they don't pop. And I'm thinking that might even hurt it a little bit more when people go look at these. But obviously, you've seen it in hand. It's like I said, I need this to come down before I even think about buying a box.
They're nice in hand. But what I will say too, and this is not a knock on Upper Deck at all, because I would do 100% the same thing.
Yeah.
Just like when you have these ComC scans that are kind of dull and, well, we just don't really like, and we really hope Upper Deck can figure that out with ComC. When you're at a trade show, they have a beautiful booth. They have them in cases. They have like the jeweler's lights. You know how
Yeah.
like you go into the jewelry store and every ring it like blinds you because it sparkles so much. They had like the best lighting on these, and they looked amazing.
Yeah.
And they did a really good job in designing and building the cards. But I just don't know if, whether it's through the price or through the scans through ComC, if kind of that value and vibe of the set will get lost in translation, or maybe I'm wrong and people
Yeah.
will just get it, but we'll see. So 2 years from now, we might be the biggest Ovation. I just try not to rush to judgment on this stuff,
Yeah.
but acknowledge when I don't feel like I have a good grasp or understanding of what is going on with a particular set, and I've just learned to pull back and to
Yep.
wait it out a little bit at that point. Well, we kind of even buried the lead here, Troy, because
Yeah.
are you ready? Do we need to like buckle up? Do we have our helmets on? Do we have our chin straps? You got your mouth guard in?
Yeah.
Holy crap, Connor Bedard is coming, Troy. I'll turn it over to you.
He's kind of coming. We'll get to it, but yeah, 23-24 MVP checklist is out, so that's fun. It looks like the release date will be August 10th of this year if everything goes to plan. Just
Crazy.
remember that can change. Doing a quick perusal of the checklist, looks like there's 2,528 different cards on the checklist. Obviously, this is MVP. It's one of the most affordable sets you'll find, and it's a true entry-level set for hockey cards. The base set on this release will be 250 cards, and the last 50 are kind of a mix of veteran and rookie short prints. And if you're watching the show, I'm going to kind of click through some of the sell sheet images. So on that base set, the parallels right now they have listed are ice battles, silver scripts, gold scripts, super scripts, black superscripts, and printing plates, which are your 101s. Again, it's not a huge parallel-driven product. We've talked about it. You can hit some. You're not going to hit these $1,000, $5,000 cards unless maybe, I don't know. We'll see what Bedard decides to do with his crazy stuff that's in here. Now, again, remember Bedard will be a redemption, but we'll get to that. There's also not a lot of autos in this product. There are very few high number short prints that have magenta autographs, and they fall about 1 in every 400 packs. I'll show a picture if you're watching on screen. So there's not a ton of autos. It's not an autograph driven product, but you can hit them. From the insert side, they have some new ones. There's alternate threads. It's like a card that has 3 teammates all pictured in their teams of retro uniforms, and they also have gold parallels of these. There's also stars of the rink, which is going to be your top tier guys. There's gold version parallels of this. And then these cards, Josh, I would love your opinion. Mascots and team captains are kind of paired up it's called an Ice Reps. Again, it has gold parallels. It's another new insert. What do you think, Josh? I'm like stuck in the middle. I kind of like it because I dig mascot cards, but I don't know if I dig it being with the player. I don't know. It's just kind of interesting to me.
Not my jam, but I also have an 8-year-old nephew that loves hockey.
Yeah, he probably
would love these cards. So it's just not my snooty wheelhouse.
Yeah. All right, then we have the 20th anniversary inserts. These pay homage to 2003-04 Upper Deck MVP talent inserts, and they use that design for a modern crop of players. There's base versions, and there'll be gold scripts and super scripts available. And then I've always liked these cards, these colors and contours.
I do too.
I've always dug them. They're kind of die cut. They're always, really bright, obviously, when you call something colors and contours. I read from the sell sheet, they call it the Spectrum Light FX backdrops. They have gold are the most common with 250 copies, and then they're going to have green and purple as well. I believe what I show on my screen is a purple, I would assume. So now that we did that we have the base, the inserts, now what everyone really, really cares about. Can't believe they didn't put the division, like the Central Division one in here for the sell sheet, but get to redemptions. So 23-24 Upper Deck MVP Hockey will have a couple redemptions that will be offered based on early season debuts. You're going to have rookie redemptions, 1 in every 400 packs that cover an entire division. Humble brag, every time I've opened an MVP box, I've gotten one of these redemptions for a division.
Can I ask you a question about that?
Yeah.
So you got that last year too, right?
Yeah.
And what I know when you get cards that you don't love, it's tough to love a redemption. Yeah. You look up, what was the value of that? Like the market value when you got it?
I don't think it was much. I don't think it was much at all.
$40 maybe?
Maybe less than that. I redeemed it and I got the cards. And the thing is, so I can't remember what group I had. It was nothing huge.
Yeah, can you talk about the process? So what did you have to do to redeem it, and how long did it take to get your cards?
Yeah, so basically scratch it off. You can see on my screen, if you see, it'll have an area to scratch off. You go to Upper Deck site, you go to the redemptions, put in your code, make sure you have an account, address, all that stuff, hit it, and then you just sit and wait. And one time it took, and I couldn't remember where I bought it from release date, but one time it took 3 months and I had them. Another time it took a lot longer. It was like 7 months. And I can't remember exactly when I bought them, but they did come. I did get them, and it was pretty painless. I mean, you just put it in there and wait like any redemption. But the thing I can probably guarantee is that you're going to get them, unlike Panini, where it might take 10 years and you're still waiting for stuff. But it's a pretty seamless process.
Did you check out the rookies on the checklist?
I did not.
Okay, I did. And the reason why I did is I think that it's a pretty clear indicator who the Series 1 Young Guns will be. And I will say there wasn't surprises that on the rookie checklist, you have Luke Hughes, Matthew Nyes, and now get ready. You're going to get kind of excited here because I'm excited too. Devin Levi.
Yeah, I like that.
I think he's going to be a big chase when his Young Guns comes out. Now, I would guess in Series 1 based on the fact that he's in the checklist here for MVP.
I think if that card doesn't have him in that Jedi,
that'd be criminal.
Pose,
criminal.
They have to have it. They have to.
I'm gonna message.
I don't care if they have to stop production and get a new picture in there if they forgot or didn't know about that. Put that in.
That'd be amazing.
So again, back to MVP real quick. This Central or whatever Atlantic Division, the one on screen. But if you get Central Division, hey, I think that's probably where your Bedard card will be. But there's also another redemption. I've never gotten one of these. There's 2023 NHL #1 draft pick redemption. These are one in every 1,250 packs. And there's also a gold parallel, which is one in every 12,500 packs. So I don't know how exactly this works. I couldn't find a good explanation. So I'm assuming one of these redemptions is going to have Bedard in it.
The gold parallel.
Yeah.
1 in 12,500 packs. Is that a 5-figure card?
Yeah, we'll see. This is the first time we might. Now I'm curious. Like I get you're kind of asking when this card, how the process was and stuff, because we assume he's going to, Artifacts will come out with a redemption.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be interesting.
It's going to be Redemption City until probably his Young Guns comes out.
Yeah. So that's very exciting. We'll have to wait and see what happens, but it'll be fun to watch once those cards actually start getting going out with Bedard on them.
Now, if we'll probably get a box just because
I would. We're going to get a box. You're going to love the price of the boxes.
Yeah. But if we get one, our mode is to sell right away, right? And just bankroll into Young Guns or better Bedard cards.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's on air strategery meeting. Strategery meeting.
Yep. Over MVP hockey. So here's the hobby box info real quick. For a hobby box, you get 8 cards per pack, 20 packs per box. And if you go the case route, you get 20 boxes per case. And a hobby box, your breakdown will be 4 20th anniversaries, 4 ice reps, 5 total between alternate threads or stars of the rink. You will get 1 total between colors and contours or a 20th anniversary parallel. You'll get 1 additional insert of the ones I read. You will get 20 ice battles parallels. I am not a fan of those. I'm going to inject that right now. I don't like the ice battles. I like them as an ePack thing, though. I get the pack war thing. I think that's kind of cool. Younger kids might really get into that. Silver script parallels, you'll get 5, and base short prints on average 10. Pricing. David Adams right now has it listed for $59.95 US for a hobby box. Steel City is at $57.95 US for a hobby box. Klaus and Chara and 401 Games in Canada are at $84.99 Canadian.
We're 10 days away from this release.
Yeah.
So Upper Deck couldn't find a way to get this out for the National when they're in Chicago.
Maybe they just didn't. I don't know. Maybe they didn't want it there. I mean, that's got to be the reason, right? Or else it's coming from the boat, right? The boat was late.
Maybe maybe they can release it when they can. I just think, boy, that's a narrowly missing perfect timing.
Yeah,
right.
Trying to Bedard's first, whatever, maybe card.
Last really quick note for new product releases is a product I'm very excited about. Comes out on Wednesday, 2021-22 credentials. This is another product that hasn't been released in a while. I'm much more happy with the $150 US price point. It, of course, has the debut ticket access rookies that are very similar to the Panini Contender product. This product really speaks to me. I love the designs. I can't wait.
Agree.
Listener mailbag, Troy.
All right.
We're 2 hours into the show, so we're going to try to... My throat hurts bad. This show wore me down. But we do have some great questions, so I'm very excited to get into them. First one's kind of a long one. I'll read it, and then I'll let you formulated a response here. Person wanted to be anonymous. We respect that. And said, do breakers get boxes sent directly to them from Upper Deck or something like that? I understand that they open a ton of boxes and cases, but they still seem to get some of the biggest hits. Like the boxes I bought and pulled have been decent, but like every night I see breakers getting insane cards and not many duds at all. I feel like breakers are ruining boxes for people who buy personal boxes. All right, Troy.
Yeah, I just thought of this one. I totally missed this in the question, but yeah, if you're a breaker, you can buy product right directly from Upper Deck if you're in their program, agree to the stipulations. I believe
I think you have to be a certified diamond dealer,
or do you have to be a certified diamond dealer? Okay.
I think all like the whatnot type breakers or Facebook or Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is that they have to buy from a distributor, or
Gotcha.
I don't know where they get their product from.
Makes sense. All right. So, and when I was thinking about this, it's one of the questions we've been asked a couple times, and it's just not hockey that we see this question being raised, right? How many times have we seen the discussion about backyard breaks being fed loaded boxes because they are the biggest breakers out there? I don't actually have the exact answer, and I just really hope big breakers are not being fed loaded boxes. To me, the amount of risk that a card manufacturer takes if they got found out far outweighs any benefits of providing these loaded boxes. I at times think I might be a little too optimistic, but we've talked to Upper Deck. We've had dealings with them on different things. We've had obviously Tony and Billy on our show, and I've never gotten any kind of hint or thought at any point that they were feeding loaded boxes to breakers. I really think it comes down to, and this is kind of what I've landed on when I think about this, and you kind of mentioned it in the question, is that breakers and these people break staggering amounts of product, and they're just going to hit more cards. And I've also sat there on Whatnot at late at night and watched breakers open dud after dud after dud. So we always hear about the big ones, but we never hear about the duds. I think it's just a function of math, and they're opening the most products and they're going to get the most hits. Now, I know at one point someone did do a mathematical analysis, I think on maybe it was Backyard on their breaking and what they're hitting, but then it came out that the math was flawed and the arguments back and forth. So I gave up because I don't want to.
Well, that was like this, because those were those real super huge hits, like the Logo Man and the statistical analysis of that. I really agree with you. Listen, of course, there could be nefarious people doing nefarious things, and I wouldn't be shocked if we ever found that out. But I think if you really consciously observe breakers, you look at some of like the big breakers, like whether it be Breezy and Whatnot or Money Moose, kind of friends of ours, and they go through tons and tons of products. So it makes sense that Upper Deck has a relationship with them. They're going to be huge customers. But if they do 4 or 5 breaks a night that have 6 boxes a break, they're breaking 30 boxes. And and then on their Instagram the next day, they have 4 or 5 really nice cards. But if you're breaking 30 boxes, which would probably cost who knows what from a retail, and you have maybe a $2,000 card, a $1,000 card, and a couple $500 cards, I'm guessing that their quote unquote big hits don't put them like if you had personally or bought all those boxes personally, wouldn't put you in the green.
Yeah.
Because what a breaker does is it's the fantasy, right? They just show you, well, here's the possibility. They don't show you, to your point, the 25 or 30 boxes that were duds. Which cost the same amount of money as the boxes that produce good cards too. So I think it's a little like sleight of hand. It's like what a magician does, right? A little bit. And that's part of sort of how they create the perception that, because the other thing I think is funny too, when you see breakers that only I get the biggest hits. Like, well, the only really way that you could validate that claim would be to open up the most boxes, because the odds should always be, it's just more a luck thing. And sometimes luck runs out. Next question, a little bit related. So from Facebook, Rod Jameson, are breakers impacting how Upper Deck designs and prices their products? Example, smaller boxes, less cards, and higher prices. So I actually want to jump in first here, Troy, because I didn't talk to you if you're aware of this, but Upper Deck and all Fanatics and Panini, they're of course keenly aware of breakers as they're the biggest customers. We just mentioned that. We've actually seen this week that Fanatics, for their Topps Chrome Baseball release, created a new product called Breakers Delight, which is a product specifically for breakers. It's been very controversial in the baseball card.
Like, is it a complete different set, or is it part of?
No, it's a different configuration. So it's less cards. It's like, I can't. I'm going off the time. These aren't exact numbers, so don't.
I hate this already.
But it's like it's a 1-pack box with something like maybe 12 cards, and they're all hits. So there's none of the fluff. Like, breakers don't like base because they have to sort it and throw it away. So it's just get to the good stuff kind of thing, and it makes it quicker. But of course, though, that has a lot of people's antennas raised wondering, well, are they getting this Breakers Delight product?
Is that the loaded stuff?
Is that the loaded stuff? And so I
man.
think from a perceptive point of view, that's not a good move for the manufacturers to cultivate and grow that perspective or perception. But so I just wanted to throw that in there before you gave your answer.
No, I'm just saying we know that Upper Deck watches breaks. They've told us they watch breaks. They see when products release, they watch it. They're very aware of what's going on in the breaking scene. I don't know what I know the rise of breaking does have an influence. It has to have an influence on some of the decisions. Now, what those decisions are, I don't know. Maybe it is the whole packs and how those are being designed. But I don't know if we've ever seen like actual confirmation on that, but I have to believe it is. So I'll leave my answer like that.
Okay, next question from our Gong Show Discord. High Glass CBJ. This is, I think, directed towards me and the National. What was the traffic like getting in? Did you stay close to the convention? Did you do any of the trading or go into trade night? I'm always curious how much hockey is at trade nights. Our local trade nights are huge because Card Collector 2 is right down the street from my house, but never any hockey. Okay, I'll kind of take these a little bit one by one. So traffic was really good getting in. It's the Donald Lee Stevens convention at O'Hare Airport. They know what they're doing. It was very well logistically planned. They had police out there directing traffic. So they're very accustomed to very large conventions and shows and getting people in and out of there. So very smart logistically for the National to choose that place. We stayed in Arlington Heights about 15 minutes away just because it was so much cheaper. Yeah. And it was just a quick drive. So I didn't mind that. Other people would rather spend the money and be closer to the action. We didn't go to trade night because we were there 2 nights and we were, number one, exhausted. Number two, my son wanted to get the Giordano's pizza experience. And so we have real Chicago pizza. So we did that. I don't know. I guess I can't really answer how much hockey is at the trade nights. I know that there was Mitch Grotman did have a hockey dinner on Thursday night. It was really sad that we weren't able to make it because we weren't coming into a Friday. But what I heard that was a great event. So I hope that answers your question. From Threads, Thaddeus Stewart, create your first team all-star lineup of favorite hockey cards of any player. Doesn't have to be a rookie card, doesn't have to be high value, doesn't even have to be a superstar player, anyone and anything. So I let you do this, Troy. I love this question. I just didn't have the energy to do it. I'm just got to be really honest.
I loved this question too.
And this is a question that is like made for Troy.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to let you take it.
Yeah, once you see my cards and my answers, you're going to know exactly when I grew up. And this was like total nostalgia question because I started thinking about this. I know, on the show I've talked about cards I like, players I like, but then I started really thinking about when I was going through my books as a kid, I still have them. Like what cards really jumped out at me and just other kind of stories and nostalgia I could think of. And I came up with this list. And so first for goalie, this should be no surprise. It's going to be the 83-84 OPG Pelly Lindbergh rookie card. It is my favorite card ever. It is what a goalie should look like. I love how he's not taking up 3/4 of the net with all his equipment. It's got the brown pads. It's dingy. It looks dark. I love it. And I love the Pelly Lindbergh.
Second string does a Pelly Lindbergh collection.
Oh, my God.
Would you go all in?
Yep, I'd be in. So that was my first card. My next card, now obviously grew up in Minnesota. I went with the 85-86 OPG of Craig Hartsburg he's my first D-man. Now, when I was thinking about this, the reason Craig Hartsburg will always pop into my head is there was an exhibition game the North Stars played against the Red Army team. I think it was I wrote the date down here, January 4th, 86. So they played the Russians in this friendly exhibition. Hartsburg got so ticked off at the ref, who was a Russian, that he literally grabbed the puck, and it might have been after a whistle. He went and grabbed the puck and took a slap shot and drilled the ref and gets immediately ejected. Whoa. Brawls start happening, and it's just awesome. I love this card. It reminded me of that. My second D-man, I went with the 85-86 OPG Al McGinnis. I will always remember watching All-Star Game skills events where they did hardest shot and being blown away by like Al Iafrate and Al McGinnis when they would just take these boomers. And this card was like the only Flames card I remember. I don't know why. I loved Al McGinnis, but to me, it's just kind of iconic. You're sitting there looking over the ice. I loved Al McGinnis. It's a great card. So I went that with my other D-man. So let's go to the forwards. This is my card. I love this. This is the only reason I like this card is the image. I remember this. This card is ingrained in my head as a kid. It's the 83-84 OPG Ron Duguay, number 121. I don't know why.
That's like Yager level hockey.
Oh, look at it. It's great hockey here. And it's funny. He was at the expo. I don't know if it was the spring one or the fall one. One of the ones we were at. He was there signing. And then, because I couldn't believe Sarah Palin was there signing. I'm like, what is she doing at a hockey expo? I'll come to find out. I think she's dating Ron Duguay. And that kind of led while they were there. But he doesn't have the sweet fro anymore. Still got a good head of hair. But I love this card. It's fantastic. Loved Ron Duguay. My other forward should be no surprise, but I went with an 83-84 OPG Mike Bossy. I'm an 83-84 OPG Bobo. I love how it looks. Or top.
Beautiful cards.
Was it tops too? I can't. There's that one year where they didn't do tops. I can never remember. But yeah, I love this card. I love Bossy. Again, it's that dingy early 80s rank looking. I just love this card. It looks great. Plus Mike Bossy, one of my favorite players ever. Last but not least, had to do another North Star for the forward. Had to go with a guy who has scored a ton of points. I think he's in the top 15 for most points by an American. I went with Neil Broughton.
And the card I went with that the police officers gave out.
So these were 7-Eleven cards, Josh, and I have wires crossed in my head because I remember it like you. I know we got Vikings cards from police, North Stars, but I have this card. And it's a 7-Eleven is what it says. And I don't remember having 7-Elevens growing up in Richfield, Minneapolis. And I'm
7-Elevens are way too hoity-toity for Richfield.
And I was just like, well, I don't remember Minneapolis having or St. Paul, maybe. I don't know. But I have this card. I love it. It's Neil Broughton. I love the old North Stars, the Coopers, CCMs. It's a great card. He was a fair player. Broughton family in Minnesota is legendary. There was Aaron Broughton, Paul Broughton, Neil Broughton. I believe all three play for the Ghosts? And it's even like Neil Broughton wasn't even the most talented. I think Aaron was the one that set all the records for the Gophers. But I think Neil had the longest NHL career. But great question. I spent so much time on this. I loved it.
Yeah, some of you guys get Troy like so far down the rabbit hole. I think it's kind of funny. It's like you ask a simple question. It's like, I spent 7 hours answering. It's like, we have a big show, Troy. We got to move quicker. Okay, great job though. And honestly, I love that you do that because that's just fantastic. From Instagram, Top Shelf Cookie Sniper 88. He's got a Hockey Cards podcast you should all check out.
Yep.
We always want to know which players' cards values we think are going to go up. What player do you think will have a decrease in value this year? So I've actually hemmed and hawed. I'm not going to read any of my answer because I've been thinking for this one. And I hate this question. And it's because I never know how to answer because I think generally I'm a very positive person. And I look at all these guys and I think, well, yeah, Sider will have I'll be honest. I have no faith in Lafreniere, but I think the damage is already done. And, it's just like kicking a puppy at this point. But all I can say on this is that there's going to be guys that get hurt, that play hurt, that you don't even know are hurt, or just have, a sophomore slump if it's their second season or whatever it might be, or just have a bad year. It's going to happen. There's going to be a guy that a year from now, we're going to be like, we never saw this coming. I think it happens every year. And so to me, I don't know how you could possibly predict it. And like I said, I'm an optimist, so I kind of think they're all going to do well. But where I got value in this question is as a reminder not to put all your eggs in one basket. But the minute you do that, if you go all in on Jack Hughes or Cole Caulfield and you spend all your money on those cards and you're like, this guy is going to be amazing and I'm going to make so much money, anything can happen.
No.
Right. So to me, I take this as a reminder to diversify. What do you think?
So I went the route. I just put all goalies. I'm so scared of goalies right now. I think nothing is going for them. The game is getting faster. The scoring is going up. It just seems like goalies cannot stay steady. Even the guys that are hot and hobby darlings for 1 week, 1 month, they come back to earth crashing down. It's just the nature of the position. So I am actually, if I was going for value or trying to, do as an investment short term, I don't know if goalies are my play right
Maybe
now.
vintage goalies.
Yeah,
right?
vintage goalies, but not anything current unless you really, really believe in someone. And then I just wrote down Ovi. I don't know. I mean, he's 38.
Oh, wow.
He's
Controversial.
38. Well, he's 38 or he'll be 38, I think. It's still a lot of stuff's got to happen for him, and I think it's more just health, right? I mean, he's proven there's nothing I've seen that says he's not going to break Gretzky's record. But if I had to put all the variables that could happen, hey, he's the one guy that maybe something happens, and a lot of that stuff's baked in, like that he's going to break the record. So maybe this is one that struggles. Now, do I want it to happen? No, I don't want it to happen, but I'll put a name down.
What I don't like about Ovi is, so I want to make like the Brady comparison real quick, where for 5 years it was, when is Tom Brady going to fall off the cliff?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that Ovi doesn't take care of himself, but Brady was like so disciplined and meticulous about how he treated his body. And everything I've read about Ovi is he slams like 8 Diet Cokes, has 3 plates of Alfredo and raviolis right before the game. And it's like, at some point, does that just catch up to you?
I don't know.
And maybe he's the guy that, and I get it's part of his mystique and it's kind of a fun part of the Ovi story, but I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I know. I just took a stab. We'll see.
Next question, Instagram, 80s OPG fan. What a great name. When is it worth getting a card graded?
Yeah, I'm not the biggest grade. I don't grade. I mean, honestly, I don't ever send stuff in. I do every once in a blue moon if it's like PC stuff, or maybe I'll do something where it's like, oh, I think this is a really good card. And I always wrote down my little formula, but I think you always yell at me that there's something I'm forgetting. I can never remember what it is. I always put down when the cost to acquire the card plus the grading fee plus the cost of your time is less than the value of the card, if it gets the grade you expect it to. That's my formula. So then I would go grade it if I think I'll get more than that and it's worth that amount. And I'll say also, if you just want to protect a card, put it in a slab to protect it for life in your PC. Use whoever you want. But that's kind of where I fall with grading. I don't know. I don't have a better answer. It's just you got to look at how much it costs you to get the card. And then if it hits the grade you want, and what amount will you get for it? And is that profit big enough? And if you don't get the grade you want, now what happens?
The only thing I would add to that is do that equation for 1 and 2 grades less than you expect.
Yeah.
Because
that
happens all the time. You're like, oh, this is a 10 and it's a 7. And you're like, huh? How did that happen? So I usually go off of, if I think it's a 10, which, is hopeful thinking. And at a 9, I'm still ahead as far as the value of the card for what I spent to acquire the card and what I spent on grading with shipping and everything. Then it's a maybe, but ideally I want that math to work out at an 8.
Yeah.
So, because the last thing you want to do is buy a card for $20, spend $30 or $40 to grade it. So now you're 60 into the card, and a PSA 10 is worth 90, but a PSA 9 is worth 40. So then you just lost $20 by grading it. So that's not a smart, unless, like you said, it's a PC and you just want the card encapsulated and you don't care about the return on investment. Okay, Gong Show Discord, JT Hockey. If you're to play in the NHL, what jersey number do you pick? Did you play hockey as kids and have a favorite number you'd want to keep using? Would you go for number 1 so your cards are more limited when it comes to one's number to jersey number? Would you fight for 000 to make the NHL get its bleep together and start stat tracking and potentially knock on John Davidson or Neil Sheehy's of the Athletics list of best players? What are your thoughts on that, Trey?
So it's funny. I started writing my answer like after the first or second sentence. So I didn't even see the part where he talks about fight for 000, because I said this. I would sue the NHL immediately because I'm going to assume to fix their database, because I want 000. It's a number I always wanted as a kid and in college, but no one would ever give it to me. They never wanted to do it. growing up, I did play hockey. I played hockey all the way through high school. I was a goalie, so I was always number one. However, the thing with me, I never really was tied to numbers. Like some people, like their birth year, all that stuff. I never was tied to number one. It's just the number I wore. In college, I was a baseball player. I was number 34. It was what they gave me. I could have cared less. But if I was making the NHL, I would want 00.
I would go with number 11. In my family, we have a weird thing with the number 11, kind of all these coincidences. My birthday is in the 11th month. My wife's birthday is the 11th day. My son's birthday is the 11th month. My daughter's birthday is the 11th day. My 3 children were 6 pounds, 11 ounces, 7 pounds, 11 ounces, 8 pounds, 11 ounces. I was married on the 11th day, and it just goes on and on. So we're kind of tied into the number 11. That's my wife's, or my daughter. My wife.
Yeah.
Freudian slip there. My daughter's hockey number as well, too. So
awesome.
I respect that. Okay, Facebook, Dakota Raposa. What's a better option for grading, PSA or Beckett? Just hit a short print, Clayton Keller limited gold on black. Auto, thinking about sending it out to be graded. Well, nice hit.
Yeah.
Okay, Troy, you got the answer?
Well, if you want the most value for it, if you're looking at selling it, PSA. If you think it will, and especially if you think it will do a 10 PSA. If like I said on that other question, if it's a PC, you just want to hold it for your PC and slab it, whoever you like. But if we're still in the PSA as king, other companies are coming along or trying to claw back a little bit from PSA, but right now still PSA is king if you want the most money out of it.
Next one, Facebook, JVD. With so many sets to choose from, which Upper Deck products should you collect if you're starting out? My advice, Jay, is to start simple. Don't get ahead of yourself while you're learning, as there's way too many pitfalls in the hobby that'll cost you a lot of money. So I like Flagship, or actually 20, 21, 22 Ice is fairly affordable and a good product. Or I think, Troy, you had this too. OPG Paper are good, very entry level kind of products.
I'm with you. The more I think about this, I always gravitate for newer collectors. Obviously, Flagship's always a good shot. They're affordable. You're gonna get one of the most iconic cards ever, or the rookie, the Young Guns, and you'll get some other cool inserts. So that's always a good option. But I always lean on OPG Paper. It's just a great It's a great set. It's cheap. You get lots of cool cards. You'll get some parallels. Like we've said 1,000 times, you're not gonna get this huge life-changing money card, but it's just a fun product with a lot of different stuff in it.
Okay, Facebook, Matthew Neal. If Detroit makes the playoff and or wins the cup, do Yzerman cards go up in value? Matthew, I don't really think at this point anything Yzerman does as an executive affects his card values as a player. He is certifiably, hands down, one of the greatest players ever. He's already cemented his legacy as an executive as well. He's an absolute legend in Detroit. I just don't see it bumping his card values.
Yeah, unless he ties on the skates and jumps out there to help him win. I think he's pretty much cemented his legacy.
Facebook, Sebastian Cardinal. Next question. What's the best way to get a fair comp price on a high-end 99 card like Crosby, the Cup, RPA, auction house, show convention, any other way? If you're looking for sales, this is one instance where I really like Card Ladder, because a card like this just doesn't sell only on eBay. Card Ladder is like 15 plus sources, all the big auction houses. So you're going to find all the big sales ever on the card. And when you're buying a card like this or selling a card like this, you just have to be very careful, slow, methodical, and not reactionary. Talk to many people. Call every auction house. Contact your hobby contacts to get advice. People are amazing in this hobby. They'll talk to you. And the more information you get with an amazing card like this, I think the better decision you'll make on how best to make an offer to buy it or who you should sell it with. There's just so many factors that go into it. Timing, how it's sold, if it's an auction, what type of commission, who makes a commission, all that good stuff.
Yeah. Agree.
Next one, Facebook, Mark Palumbo. Unable to find out how many of the 2022-23 Team Canada Junior Shane Wright, pride of the program, clear cut exclusives were printed. Well, it's a really nice card.
Mhm.
Congratulations. If you hit it, for the clear cut exclusives, Upper Deck does not release the print runs on these, but they're very rare. From what I've heard and from what I'd guess, Mark, it's probably somewhere in the 5 to 10. Is that kind of what you've been
Yeah,
led to
I know
believe
they're
too?
really short printed, and your guess is as good as mine. When I first read this question, though, I was like, oh, well, let's go look at the checklist. And I saw clear cuts. I'm like, oh, 1 in 40 hobby packs. And then I'm like, oh, clear cut exclusives,
Yeah.
idiot. Like, that's my fault. I'm a dummy. And then, yeah, those are extremely rare.
Last question, Facebook, Chad Dorman. Why are there Emerald Surge OPG Platinum cards when they look like crap?
This could be Troy going, why is there synergy when I hate the logo, right?
They should be doing a white sparkle or something that looks nicer.
Yeah.
All right, Troy. Well, you say what?
I just like I'm channeling, the subjectivity of the question, and hey, card designs are subjective. What stuff even I personally don't like, there's someone else out there that really likes it. Most of the time I think more people like stuff than I than I do. But yeah, it's total subjective, and I get it that you think there might be other better ways that a card can look or some kind of other parallel. And hey, if you can always write the companies and tell them and let them know your opinion, they'll listen.
I've always wondered if the green Emerald Surge has to do with, because it's out of 10, right? That it's analogous
Yeah.
to the green PMG.
Yeah.
It's out of 10 as well. At the end of the day, Chad, I think that the Emerald Surge is pretty solidified in its spot. I wouldn't hold your breath that Upper Deck is going to replace it. They
Yeah.
do often try new parallels, though, for some of their higher numbered stuff, or I don't love when they add new ones because it just increases the print runs
Yes.
of and
Yep.
the amount of parallels in the card too. But I get it. My son just bought a white sparkle LeBron Panini card, and white sparkle cards are awesome. So I
Mhm.
identify with you there. Personally, if they did anything, I'd love to see them bring blue cubes back. That was one of
Yep.
my favorites, and I have to ask them why they got rid of it at some point. Well, it's been a marathon. My throat hurts so bad. I'm very grateful that I'm going to get some vocal rest here in a second. But I hope you like the show. If you did like it, please leave a rating review on Apple, Spotify, whatever podcast app you listen to us on. If you love the show, would like to support us and chat with us every day on the Hockey Cards Gong Show Discord server, please consider a $5 a month donation. Join our out of 99 support level tier via Patreon. You can find the link in the show description on Apple or Spotify or YouTube if you're watching us there. You can go to our website, hockeycardsgongshow.com, and click on the Become a Patron link. Go to the Patreon website at patreon.com and search for Hockey Cards Gong Show, or in our Instagram and TikTok profile in our link tree. There's a link there as well. We're on social media. So, hey, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube. And Troy, the Hockey Cards Gong Show podcast is a production of Dollar Box Ventures, LLC. We'll see you all on Thursday.